Wah wah. Wah 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 wah. Now, what happens when I sing stuff on YouTube? Do they copyright strike me for that? I probably shouldn't ask that question because I think I know the answer. All right. Welcome where we do it live. We do it. We do it live. 7 o'clock. I just made it. Hey. I got lots of iced tea today. I need it. Had a very early weekend. So, this weekend, I got single again. So, ladies, I'm single once again, but that's fine. It was mutual. It was mutual. No, seriously, it was mutual. If it wasn't mutual, I wouldn't mention it at all. Then Saturday, I went to the second annual Cryptids and Paranormal Convention up in Parlin, New Jersey. That was interesting. I ran into the guys from Weird, New Jersey and bought a bunch of magazines. So I was psyched about that. Oh, psyched to have some Weird, New Jersey magazines, some new ones. Like the last 10 I bought or something. No, 6 or 8, something like that. And yeah, and they were on sale at the show, so that was really cool. So I got a deal. Then what did I do? Sunday, today, I did the Philadelphia Comic Con, so that was fun. Thanks to all came out to that as well, and here I am. I just had to get up early for both days, and I'm not rested. So a little bit of a drag on me today. The weather was super nice this weekend, I'll tell you that. Really nice weather. I could have done with both those conventions outside. It was so nice. Allergies are kind of off the charts, but other than that, it's a good day. Good day. A good day. All right. So let's just make sure everybody can hear me, see me. I think my levels are good. Seems to be good. A good signal. All right. So I think we're ready to go here. Little Joan is fine, by the way. She's just a little tired after the walkies. She got worn out. Joan, you were tired from walkies. Yeah. Bit off more than she could chew. She's getting up there, you know. She's 10 as of this year. So, well, she'll be 10, I guess. Yeah, she'll be 10 this September. And so, yeah, the big 1-0 for little Joan. Yeah, I know. So she's, I don't know. She's just tired, I guess. Little dog. Loves the, then when she wants something, oh, yeah, she suddenly finds the energy, right? She pulls the old, pick me up stuff now. That's what she does to me. I'm thinking about getting a doggy basket. JEC is here. Hi, hi, hi. So I'm thinking about getting a doggy basket. So I have a little papoose for Joan, like right here. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or a bad idea. On the one hand, it'd be good to have my hands free. On the other hand, I'd worried she'd fall out of it or jump out of it or lick my face when I wasn't paying attention, or I'd fall over and squish her. I don't know. I bought a cheap one, and that was a mistake because, yeah, Joan didn't like that one at all. I need one that's like pretty solid for a papoose, or maybe one of those things that cats get in on your back, like the backpack. I don't like those either because I can't see what's going on back there. Somebody could take her right out of the backpack. I wouldn't even know it. So I think I'd have to get one of the front seas one. I don't know if she'd like that. Then I see people push them around in baby carriages. And I just think, am I that nuts to get a baby carriage for the dog? That just seems weird. I wouldn't want to get that. Maybe something that I could push, but like didn't look like a baby carriage. It would be weird to have a baby carriage, right? That's weird. I mean, even though she's getting up there, I might be forced to do it just because that would be the easiest thing to buy. I don't know. I don't know if they sell one specifically for dogs. But anyhow, that's my life. So how's everything going with you? Well, that's nice, but we got to talk about the important things, which is, of course, movies. Movies. And this weekend was crazy at the box office. So, as you can see, the number one movie in America this weekend is the Garfield movie, which is not all that shocking considering the very weak opening of Furiosa. But still, it's embarrassing. But wait, it gets worse. Because or IF, whatever the hell this movie is, by Ryan Reynolds, is number 2. Which means Furiosa dropped from 1 to 3 in one weekend. And it dropped by 60%, which is bad. Garfield only dropped by 42. Now that movie has legs. That movie people want to see. Gee, I wonder why. It's not woke, probably. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't think it is. And then Chris Pratt does the voice. It's exactly what you would expect in a Garfield movie, I assume. Pretty much what I've seen. Looks fine. I mean, for a Garfield movie. Meanwhile, Furiosa, I mean, they didn't completely bungle it, but they might as well have, because it just doesn't matter if you do something. To me, it's incredibly misleading to call it Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. If you called it From the World of Mad Max Furiosa, or something like that, then okay, you could still have Mad Max in the title, and it's fine. But when you call it Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, you're implying that Mad Max is in it, I think. JC, I watched Furiosa. It's pretty meh, loses focus after the first hour, and meanders around until it just kind of ends. Chris Hemsworth was good, some good action. Girl boss stuff was distracting and cringe. So there's your review. There is your review. JEC, he knows. He knows. I think he knows. I've heard good things about the action sequences, but again, I don't care. I don't care how good it is. It's a distraction to me. Like, I'm big on titles, man. Oh, I'm big on titles. I don't sweat anything in a screenplay or a novel or anything except the title. I will spend hours, if not days, on the title. For the title of Book 15 of the Pineys, I was going back and forth about 2 different versions of the title. Or actually 3. And it went on for a couple of weeks, technically, because I went back and forth 3 times until I finally said, no, I got to have the whole deal there. And you'll know it later. JC, they even have a mentor character who dresses up like Mad Max and acts like Mad Max, looks just like Mad Max with the black Furiosa makeup. Oh, weird. So, weird. And I heard Tom Hardy makes a cameo? Is that true? Some kind of cameo where they say, oh, there's Mad Max. But that's still not a Mad Max saga. A Mad Max saga has Mad Max in it. Fury Road is barely a Mad Max saga. Barely. Only because I think Mad Max is in it just enough to call it a Mad Max movie. If he was in it any less, he'd be with Mad Max. That movie would have been Furiosa Road. It's probably what they should have called it. JC, I didn't notice Tom Hardy. See, you didn't even notice him. Now, I heard he was in it, but I don't know. Maybe I hear things on the internet, and sometimes it's not correct. But that JEC wouldn't even notice it, that they wouldn't even put Tom Hardy, if he's in it, front and center to say, oh, there he is, tells you everything you need to know. They wanted to replace Mad Max with Furiosa. How'd that go? Oh, right. I can hear this studio meeting. I can hear it. Sat down with George Miller, who probably had a awesome Mad Max screenplay all written out. And this has probably happened before, probably happened during Fury Road. And they said, listen, George, this is the modern day. We got to have a female protagonist, or we can't greenlight this thing. And then George probably pitched, well, what if I gave him a sidekick or a love interest? No. She has to be a strong, empowered woman, equal to or better than Mad Max. And he went, okay, because he wanted to make the movie. And look, I can't blame him for that. This is Hollywood. This is the way it works. You have to do sometimes what the studio want. I blame the studio for pushing this on him. Would be my guess anyway. I wasn't there. I'm just imagining it. So then he turns around and he says, okay, all right, we'll do Furiosa will be equal to Mad Max. Then he comes back, oh, we made some money on that Fury Road. Did pretty good. And they're like, yep, we want a Furiosa sequel. Well, what about Mad Max? We don't want a Mad Max. We want you to make Furiosa the lead now. We want you to go forward with her. JC, it would have been better if it was Mad Max has a daughter and Chris Hemsworth gang kidnaps her and chases them down, almost gets her back, but then they catch them and leave him for dead. Yeah, something like that. JC, then they get into a war between Chris Hemsworth gangs and Furiosa in the Immortal Joe role, now with Mad Max and his daughter stuck in the middle. Or whatever. You know, they could have done a lot of things, but they didn't. Because I think they were like, oh, we don't need Mad Max now. And they had that friggin' article out. I didn't bother to call it up. Who cares? But it was something like, the Mad Max movies have transcended the main character. No, they didn't. This movie proves they didn't do it. People are pissed. You can't make a Mad Max movie. You can't make a not Batman movie. You can't make a not Mad Max movie. You can't make these. Make original movies or go shut the F up. So it's infuriating to me. This is like when they were going to make a not James Bond movie, but they put the kibosh on that. They at least saw that one. Oh yeah, we shouldn't do this. Yeah, we really want to, but we can't. You shouldn't have done this. I'm glad it's losing money. I feel bad for Chris Hemsworth to some degree because I kind of like him. Although, God, somebody's told me some stuff online. I just like, oh no, that sounds awful. Apparently George Miller and him, according to a source online, however reliable that is, said that they have girl boss wives that give them a little shove. Ugh, that sounds awful. If true, I mean, who knows? JC, that's basically the movie with only Mad Max instead of Furiosa's mother and the fake Mad Max mentor stand-in. I think what they should have done is they should have done a final Mad Max with Mel Gibson, passed the torch to Tom Hardy as the new Mad Max, son of Mad Max. Could have made Furiosa the love interest, and they could have been a team. Could have added a few more characters with that. And then maybe you could have done a Furiosa origin movie segueing into how she met son of Mad Max. Something like that. JC, what about their wives? Yeah, the rumor, according to my internet source, is that they're very bossy. That they're strong, independent women. Sad to hear if true. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, JC, Furioso is a Dutch dam. A Dutch dam. I don't know what that means. I know that means something. A Dutch dam. A Dutch dam. It's a finger? Is that what it... is it a... Do you mean she's gay? Oh, no. Really? They did that too? Oh, Jesus. These people are relentless. JC, bad word for lesbian. Yeah, I finally pieced it together. It took me a minute. Yeah. That's okay. That makes even more sense than my scenario then. No, no, no. We need a female. All right, we'll do Furiosa. Well, we need to make sure she's gay. I mean, these people are nuts. They're determined to destroy everything with their LGBTQIA2S plus, whatever. JC, it's pretty obvious in Fury Road. Was it? I don't know. Wasn't really paying attention all that much to that. Surprisingly enough, I was watching the movie for the action and not whether or not somebody was going to get scissored. Shocking, I know. Shocking. I don't even remember that. I knew there were other women in it, and I knew there wasn't a love interest between Mad Max and her, but whatever. I mean, it's just so disappointing. So anyhow, that's my scenario. They insisted this to be a thing to replace Mad Max. JC, she kidnaps all his hot wives. She make out with them? Might as well. Might as well have a big scissoring scene. I mean, that makes sense in a way if he's got a harem, but like, who cares? The whole movie's stupid anyway. What they should have done is gone back to the roots of Mad Max. They should have done either a final movie or rebooted the damn thing with Tom Hardy and done the first movie. Only more awesome. More explosions and stunts, you know, as him as a cop. And then, you know, the final break thing. JC, plus she's a female big rig driver. Okay. The thing I hate about it is it starts out in that grove, and I'm just like, oh, God. That's not where it should start. If she's the same age as Mad Max, it should start when civilization was still together. It shouldn't start like, I don't know, the crazy hippie commune that somebody found in the desert of Australia. All right. But anyhow, so Garfield made $14 million, and Garfield, just so you know, was ahead of Mad Max anyway worldwide because it made like $152 million total worldwide, whereas Mad Max, Furiosa, or whatever, only made 114. So it was leading anyway. So even if it beat it in domestic, it would have lost on world stage. IF, which has been out for 3 weekends, is beating it too, 138. So, but I wasn't super crazy about IF or IF or whatever it is. JC should have just done another Tom Hardy movie. You can bring back Furiosa, but maybe she's got crazy power and is the villain in a turnaround. Yeah. The thing that was cool about the original Mad Max, to me, was it started with the destruction of civilization, and then the second movie is like civilization's been destroyed, but you see people trying to pull together like the pieces, and they go to the city and stuff. And then the third movie, it's just getting further and further away from civilization. Like you could see it sort of like just unraveling, the world unraveling. JC going crazy with power. Yeah, I guess, but like, you know, I'm done with all the desert scenes. Like, to me, I'm just done with that. You know, it's just, I wanted to see something a little more urban, something with, I don't know, mutants or some robots maybe. I mean, that's what you could have done with a reboot. You could have thrown in some robots. You could have placed it in the not too distant future and had a little bit of Terminator stuff going on. JC, I want to just keep moving the series forward. Fury Road felt like a progression. JC, it's Mad Max. It's in the desert. The first one wasn't, though. Not the first one. The other ones were, but I mean, it's the Outback or whatever. It's Australia. I would have liked to have seen, if you're going to progress it, I want to see a different, at least partly a different setting. How about pirates? Do some boat action. That'd be cool. How about Mad Max in the United States? That'd be cool. JC, yeah, it was in desert towns. Yeah, but it wasn't like they weren't driving across the dunes in the first one. They were driving across roads and stuff. And I remember grass. I remember grass in the first one. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I mean it was in the outback or whatever they call it in Australia. But yeah, I'd like to see it mixing it up a little bit. JC, Mad Max is in the desert with cars and stuff. That's what the series is. I'm gonna have to watch the first one again to make sure. Here's what I could do. I could go to YouTube. Let me go to YouTube right now. Mad Max trailer 1979. I'll keep the sound off. It's got some grass, though. A lot of urban stuff. I mean, this is pretty deserty, you're right. I mean, it's kind of like savannah. Yeah, look, grass. Because they just shot it. That's some grass. That's not desert. A lot of roads. I mean, it's getting to desert. Some grass there. JC, first one is in the desert, but there's a bit of green. I think he goes on vacation with his wife at some point, and there's some water. It's the outback. Yeah, it's definitely very rural. But I mean, if you were gonna mix it up. And I think it needs... I don't think you can keep doing guys in the desert. I think they did just about everything they could with the guys in the desert. But, I mean, at this point, whatever. This stuff I liked from the first movie, too. Like shots of the cars and, gunning the engine and driving around. That's what they used to do back in the day when they would do car movies. They'd always be like, and they'd show you the car, show you the wheels spinning. It was like a cheap way to just pad the action scenes, but I don't know. I thought they were cool. It made it felt like you were in the car. It made it felt like the chase was more than 30 seconds of stunts. But anyhow, it's got a lot of problems, and they canceled Wasteland, which was going to be the third movie. So that's already been canceled. JC, I think you were pushing it with a fifth Mad Max period. Fury Road would have been a good way to end it. I didn't think it was really an ending. If you were going to end it, I think you need Mel. I think you need Mel. You need old Mad Max. But they weren't ending it. They were trying to stretch it out into the Mad Max universe. And they're so stupid. At the very least, if you're going to do Furiosa, if the plan is to spin off a bunch of characters and it's in their own universe, don't just put one character in it. Put a bunch of them. I mean, that at least the Mad Max, franchise had that tradition of adding crazy characters. You had Master Blaster and Tina Turner and other guys with the mohawk and everything. Should have had like a dozen guys. So you could have spin off a bunch of things. JC, they're never bringing Mel back to LOL. Tom Hardy was great. He's always great, but they didn't really give him anything to do, is my problem. I mean, But they could have made him son of Mad Max. That would have worked. But anyway. It's not doing well, and I think it's over. And this is the way Hollywood ends everything. Oh, there's no money in it. All right, forget it. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, though, somehow keeps going. It's in its fourth week, made $8.8 million. It's in the top 5 in its fourth, this is the 8th week. Just keeps going. I mean, it's not a big hit, but... Oh, no, it is the 4th week. Sorry. 4th week, out for a month, still making 8.8 million. I mean, it's pretty close to second and third. Although second and third are only separated by $50,000, but it's still funny that it lost to If. JC, they can't shoehorn strong female characters into a movie about apes. They get to do a strong female ape, I guess. They had a female character in the original Planet of the Apes TV show. She was like a main character. And I think they had an interspecies romance brewing at one point. I vaguely remember. Number 5 is The Fall Guy. 4.2 million. It's in its 5th week. 157 million. I mean, it's above its production budget, but by about 25 million. That ain't much. It's not a complete disaster, though. How could you tell if they did? Oh, I could tell. I'll know. Oh my God. Who is this? I'm trying to read your name. Joe Higashi Legit Leg Kicks. I'm going to call you Legit. The problem is thanks for coming in, by the way, Legit. The problem is they don't know how to show a woman strong enough to be gentle, sensual, and romantic, but still tough. It's because they high-key suck at writing, honestly. Yeah, that's what it all boils down to. They're terrible at writing. You know, I've written a few strong, empowered women in my time. It's not that hard. But women are just different. And so their characters are different. Women, look, depends on the kind of movie you're writing. But if you're writing an action movie like Mad Max, if women don't want to be involved in nonsense, they really don't. Women like to be involved with relationships. They like to be involved in decorating, sometimes cooking, a group thing. They like a group thing. That's very big, high on the women's chart. The idea of a woman becoming a loner, to take on the bad guys, and as people are saying, "Oh, boo, you suck." That's not a woman. That women don't generally want to do that. Now you can create a character that bucks the trend of the woman, but that's not a movie for women. That's a movie for men. That's a woman character you've made more like a man, that men will go, "Oh, she's hot. Oh, and she's kind of cool," because we're just as delusional as women when we watch movies. But you can't. Women don't want to be involved in nonsense, or what they perceive as nonsense. And they see like action movies as kind of nonsense. They see horror movies as being too scary. JC, yeah, the opening of Furiosa is in the Grove with all these women with machetes chasing down a biker gang that was so cringe and laughable. Started the whole movie off on a bad note. Oh God, that sounds awful. The Grove is stupid. The women, we all know exactly what's going to happen if World War III comes and society collapses. It's going to be, we're going to go right back to the previous gender roles, right? Every girl around you will suddenly be like, "Help me, save me." They're not going to be picking up guns and fighting. They're going to look for the nearest man and say, "I'm with you. You look big and strong. Mind if I stand behind you while you fight these bikers?" That's what women do. And I'm not saying they're cowards. They're smart. Look, if I had less upper body strength than 50% of the population, I'd be looking for a man too to hide behind. But women know the deal. They know the deal. This is a handful of women who are crazy. Legit. They don't know how to write a tomboy, honestly. It's simple. A girl who was the only child, her firstborn son died, and she tries to be the son the father didn't have. Yeah, that's a pretty standard one. Yep, that's a good one. Legit. Just doing that, boom, you have an interesting woman. Or a woman forced to be fierce is how you can write them. They don't get that. Well, to some extent, like it's been done a lot of times, and there are subverting expectation is a new religion in Hollywood, and they are dying on that hill. So that's another reason they don't want to do it. They don't want to do anything that's gone before, but some things you just kind of can't get around. Love stories are important. Like if they had done a love story between Mad Max and Furiosa, I've no doubt that Fury Road would have been huge. It would have been huge. That would have been, people would have been like, oh, cool, he's got a girlfriend now. And then doing the spin-off movie might have worked a little better, but they weren't going to do that. They just weren't going to do that. Not only did they make her gay, but like they weren't going to do that even if they didn't make her gay, because a bunch of women are now running Hollywood, and they're running the show, and they're all feminists, and they're all crazy in my view. JC, you see the Grove dies and rots by Fury Road, so it's pointless to show us the Grove. Oh, I didn't even remember that. Yeah, the whole Grove is stupid. I don't like the Grove. And if you're talking about the timeline of Mad Max, it doesn't even work. If Mad Max is Tom Hardy in Fury Road, then the timeline for Mad Max is, when does that movie take place? You're telling me that takes place after Bartertown or Thunder Road, whatever it was? No. That movie took place earlier in Mad Max's career. Probably took place after Road Warrior, let's say. But before Thunder Road or whatever, Thunderdome. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. It would have taken place before that, possibly before Road Warrior, but not really. He still had the car. If Furiosa is his age, and I think she's supposed to be, well, then the movie should have started in, again, Civilization. Like, Civilization should have still been going on, and then you could have seen the collapse of Civilization, which would be a cool thing to show. I would have saw the movie if you showed me that. If you told me the first act was Furiosa as a teenager during the collapse of Civilization, sign me up. I'm there. Because that is something we haven't really seen. We didn't even get to see it in the Mad Max franchise originally. They hint at it, but we don't get to see it. And they had the budget to do it. So, doing the collapse of Civilization is like doing the first movie in a zombie movie where you get to see the zombie outbreak. You get to see the breakdown of everything. People are lighting each other on fire and driving cars into buildings and shooting each other. And then mushroom clouds. It would have been cool. It would have been cool. Then you can cut to years later. Furiosa is older. She's got one arm. And then, whatever. Legit. Dan and Dave, Dumb and Dumber of GOT, have ruined Hollywood with that subverting expectations crap, honestly. Yeah, I mean, but they're not the origin of it, but yeah. I mean, they certainly ruined GOT because a lot of it's ego. Like, I think in GOT's case, it was the ego like, oh, we're out of books. Oh, don't worry, we can write it. No, you can't. They should have shut that show down. They should have put it on pause and forced him to write the books and said, we can't make any more of these things until you write the damn books. But Hollywood never does that kind of stuff. Hollywood's just, to some extent, they will still chase the money regardless of the quality of the product. JC, really, Furiosa is fighting for the fourth best Mad Max movie with Thunderdome. You see the civilization in the first Mad Max movie. Yeah, but you don't see it collapse. Like you didn't see scenes. You saw a little bit of it, but you don't see, like, I guess it would be like Sydney, Australia. Like, people like killing each other, why it collapsed, news reports of like, oh, the missiles have been launched, and then people fleeing the city, and then a mushroom cloud. Like, all that would have been badass. All that would have been exciting. And then you see how Furiosa escapes or ends up in the outback, and that's why she survives. Like, my pitch in Hollywoke hot take that I said would have been like halfway through Furiosa, have the scene at the end of the first Mad Max movie, and you reenact it with Tom Hardy, where he like kills that last dude using the guy's pinned on a car, and like the gas is leaking, so he uses a headlight to capture the gas, and then he rigs it in such a way that it's gonna eventually ignite and kill the guy if he doesn't saw through his own. I think he handcuffed him to the car and then gave him a hacksaw to hack off his own leg. But he doesn't do it in time, and he dies, and the car explodes. It's badass. You could have reenacted that scene, but you could have seen it from Furiosa's perspective, and she sees it and then runs away, and then it could have been like a tie-in to Mad Max, and then later, she meets him later but doesn't mention it or whatever. I think it would have worked. JC, the actors would have aged out by the time George finished the books. Legit. They should have shown her been a girl during the collapse, who trained her, how she survived in a flashback, so we know why she's how she is, and then they can run with it. Yeah, something like that. JC, George is just too old to finish it. He's lost the drive. Sorry. Hard to see. There's always an icon at the very end of the sentences. It drives me nuts. Yeah, it's sad to see. I think Lucas lost it. Maybe he lost it. A few other filmmakers lost it. We were looking at the credits of John Landis last week, and I was getting very depressed because, man, I love so many of his movies, and then rattling off the credits late in his career, it's just like, oh God. But part of it is mitigated by it's their job, and you don't always get the best actors. When your career starts to careen downward, you get less money, you have less actors, you have less time, and you just gotta make the damn movie. And that's not an excuse for a bad movie, but I think in George's case, they really wanted this movie, so he seemed to have a pretty big budget. I don't know. JC, you get to a certain age and you just lose it, especially if you're comfortable. Yeah, there's some wisdom in that. I mean, success, I think, does ruin people. Legit. George's kids suck. If they even remotely cared, he'd have given his franchise to them to revamp, similar to the best son in Hollywood ever, the guy that inherited the Chipmunks, and he revamped. Oh, interesting. Huh? Legit. It into the great 1980s Chipmunk cartoon that was a huge hit in the 90s and 2000s. I don't know about great. I mean, you're throwing around the word great in connection with the Chipmunks, but I'll let it go. Indie Phantom is here. Verdict is in. Hollywoke is guilty of 34 counts of stupidity or more. JC, Landis never recovered from the Twilight Zone accident. Yeah, I think it was you who said that last week. Legit. He held it up from 1980 to 2000s with his new chipmunk ideas. Well, he made money, that's for sure. Indie Phantom, I have been ruined by my lack of success. I don't know, man. I think lack of success keeps you hungry. So there are a lot of talented people out there who just don't make it. JC, I like the Chipmunks cartoon from the 90s. I thought it was fine. I was too old for it, but you crazy 90 kids, you just go off with your Chipmunks cartoons and your flip phones and your Walkmans. I'm just gonna sit here with my banana splits. Legit at JEC. Same three 80s, 90s series and 2000s. Yeah, I don't know what he could have done. I mean, there's plenty of kids. I mean, Bruce Willis's daughter is now doing movies, and they don't look good. JC. I was the right age for the Chipmunks cartoon. Yeah, no, my era was Saturday morning cartoons, Banana Splits. What did I watch? Oh gosh, the the cartoon where they had all the Hanna-Barbera characters with the Ark. That was a thing. They were all in this giant ark. It was a weird like Noah's Ark reference, but it wasn't religious. And so it was all the Hanna-Barbera characters. It was Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Snagglepuss, all those guys. Secret Squirrel, Quick Draw McGraw, who's one of my faves. I like Quick Draw McGraw. He's funny. Well, gosh, Papa Louie. Indie Phantom, Chipmunks, emoji. Legit. Haha, you want to know how we know the franchise did well? They make Chipmunks Underoos or Batman or Spider-Man, etc. for grown adults size 40 to 50 cartoon Underoos. I think I'd be a little turned off by a chick if I got her in the sack and she had chipmunk Underoos. Just saying. Just saying. I'd be like, what is this? Seems like a red flag. I'd still have sex with her, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty thirsty, but, you know. Legit. Means the brands resonated and they're still making money for all us man babies. Haha. JC. My era was Tiny Toons, Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, and Animaniacs. I like that era. Especially the Batman cartoon. Although, I think Bruce Timm is finally going to ruin his legacy. That's the rumor. That's the rumor that dropped this week, by the way. I don't know if you want to hear this. I kind of didn't want to hear it as I was watching the video, but if you want to watch it, watch Doomcox. It's like two videos ago. The rumor is Bruce Timm, super woke. Can't wait to release the Caped Crusader, which is going to be the woke version of the Batman cartoon, apparently. I think it takes place in the 40s. They're gonna reboot all the characters, and it's gonna be woke as F, and everybody's race swapped. It just sounds awful. But I heard that rumor a few months ago. Legit. Yeah, that was my era too. JC, great era of cartoons. It was fun. I liked Animaniacs. Legit. Batman cartoon was epic. Superman cartoon was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Yeah. The guy from Wings voiced Superman. It was good. Legit. What did Bruce Timm did? Yeah. I don't know. The rumor is he said something like he can't wait to release the cartoon to stick it to all the fans that are bigots or something. So it sounds like he race swapped Harley Quinn, number one, and I don't know. It sounds like it's going to be a woke-esque show, but it hasn't come out yet. JC, how do you do a woke 1940 show? I don't know. Apparently he's giving it the good old college try. Legit. Caped Crusader. You mean like Batman, the Brave and the Bold? Good, quirky, or something else? Sounds like something else to me. I mean, you could watch the Doomcock video. He has the rumor. But this is supposedly coming from someone on the inside, possibly at the studio, possibly working with Bruce Timm, who overheard him saying that. Inside the booth. Hey, inside the booth. Welcome to the stream. JEC. I mean, if it's the 1940s, it's basically a different character. Yeah, it is, sort of, but I don't know. If they're going to try to make it woke, it sounds like it's going to be a freaking disaster. Indie Phantom. I remember the Super Friends, and then when pay TV hit, I was watching R-rated movies on Saturday morning. Fun and boobies. Wow, look at you. You were advanced. You were advanced for your age. I remember the Super Friends. I enjoyed that. Wendy, Marvin, and Superdog, and then they got rid of them because nobody liked them. And then they replaced them with Zan and Jaina, the Wonder Twins, which were somehow even worse. People didn't want to see any of them. People don't want to see kid characters. They introduced Robin as a kid character because they thought they could help the kids identify with Batman more, and really they saw Robin as a rival, and he was kind of a dumb thing to introduce, as it turns out. JC, I mean, we're actually racist. We're actually racist in the 40s. Yeah, they're not gonna. I guess they're not gonna do any of that. They're gonna do something super woke, and you know, I mean, they did it with Alan Scott Green Lantern in the comic. That was like the gayest Green Lantern ever. Oh, and the other news that dropped was this week or last week. Damon Lindelof, who I can't stand, is going to be writing the Green Lantern show. So probably kiss that goodbye. Inside the booth, didn't they learn yet going woke doesn't work? It's not about that, because like the people who work on the show, they're just stuck, right? So let's say either you've been working at Warner Brothers for the last 10 years, you got a wife, kids, a mortgage, and everything changes. Now they're doing all this ESG crap, and the word comes down, well, do this or look for another job. So you do it. Long story short, it's about money. And the ESG stuff, I think, is driving most of it. And the way it kind of works, and what I've heard, it stands for Environmental Social Governance Score. So it's basically a woke score for companies. And if you play ball, your corporation gets cheap venture capital. So all these companies take out millions in loans, like when they finance a movie. They don't take their actual money and make the movie. What they do is they take out a loan, make the movie with the money they borrowed, and then pay the loan back with the proceeds. It's kind of like, I've heard what they've done. I knew a guy who worked at a car lot, and there was something very similar in the process, it sounded like to me. So they don't actually have the money, they just keep borrowing it. So when the venture capital company comes along and says, hey, if you get your ESG score, we'll give you low interest loans, instead of paying, I don't know what they're paying, say, instead of paying 5%, we'll only charge you 1%. That will save you millions of dollars over the course of your entire year. So they can afford to sacrifice some of these movies, and especially the comic division, where they don't make any money anyway, and it's so cheap to keep running, right? So they can make the comic division as woke as F, and then they get the ESG score. So because comic books are useful in that, even though they don't sell a lot, they get in the news. Like and I know this from personal experience. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. I'll get to your comments. When I worked in the gaming industry, Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of stuff, all the guys there, or some of them, not all of them, they kept asking me, they knew I worked in comics too, and they would say, how do we get in the comic book industry? And I said, and they were making money at that time. I said, you guys are making money hand over fist. Why do you want to get in the comic book industry? There's no money in it. They said, because we're not respected in the gaming industry. When we make a hit game, nobody cares. We make money, but nobody knows who we are. So we figure if we could parlay our money into a comic book that's a hit, we can be known and use that. And so there was this idea that, and it's true, comic books give you exposure, even if they don't make you a lot of money. So the comic division, is my understanding, never really makes a company like Warner Brothers or Disney enough money to make any damn bit of difference. So they can sacrifice that on the altar of ESG, then turn around every time they make some character gay, announce it in the media that they also control, and then go back to their ESG masters and say, see, look, we made all these characters gay. And then they get patted on the head and said, oh, you get a good ESG score, now you get the loans. So now they've saved themselves millions of dollars. But that's creeped into now the movies, and then the same thing applies. Well, we know this movie's not going to make a lot of money, but if we make a bunch of woke movies, or at least some, we can still keep our ESG. And then it becomes sort of a self-fulfilling, well, now they're trapped in the ESG. Now that they're losing money on the movies, now they need those low-interest loans, or else they're never going to be able to make these movies. But I think it's all coming back to AI, which also, there was some stuff today that dropped. All right, now, where did I leave off? Legit. Woke worked pretty well with X-Men 97. I think it's just bad writing, not the content or characters, honestly. I don't know. I didn't see it. The thing about X-Men to me is this. Chris Claremont is at another level. That guy can write. He can really write good. So even when you take Chris Claremont X-Men and you F it up, it's still pretty good. So, you know, when you take stuff like the Fantastic Four, like one of the reasons they can't seem to get the Fantastic Four right, in my opinion, is they don't start with Fantastic Four comics from the Kirby era, where they were amazing. Not good, they were amazing. They instead pick up the latest Fantastic Four comics, and they're not even close to Kirby. So, I think with X-Men, Claremont was, and he's still around, but he was just, you know, when they made X-Men 97, Claremont had only been out of it for, you know, kind of, I mean, he's still kind of in it. But the guys who made that show at first were basing it off the comics they had read in the 80s, which were amazing, and the bar was very high. So, you know, the original cartoon was pretty decent, and now the current cartoon is based after the fairly decent cartoon. Although Claremont himself, and I have it on tape somewhere, because we interviewed him on my TV show back in the day, he complained about the show. He didn't like it. He didn't think the cartoon was good. He thought it sucked, I think. He didn't say those words, but he said, yeah, he had complaints about the show. The original show, not the current X-Men 97. But, you know, the writing is the main issue. But the woke stuff, the problem with the woke stuff is it's not just the writing, it's the fact that they're hiring based on the DEI too. So they're hiring inexperienced writers, and they hired them based on DEI. Well, guess what they do? Well, they use DEI as a substitute for the writing, because you can't criticize me if I'm gay and then I write a bunch of gay stuff in the cartoon. What are you going to do? Oh, there's too much gay stuff in the cartoon. Do you know I'm gay? I'm so offended you said that. And then you got an HR problem. Because these people are naturally going to be pretty insecure because they can't write. You put them in a job they can't really live up to, and you can't fire them. So guess what happens? It blows up in your face, and you got an HR problem, or you just go, well, I guess we can make this super gay. Indie Phantom, Robin seemed gay in every incarnation. I think it's more the outfit, but yeah, kind of. Legit. Get an idiot with no talent, they'll screw up Shakespeare. So it's not content or race swaps, it's the bad writing. Well, but there's no reason for the race swaps. Like, there's no reason to race swap Harley Quinn. There's just no reason to do it. What is the thinking behind a race swap? What do you gain by that? You don't make the character better. You're by race swapping and saying you gain something, you're basically saying, well, this race is better. I mean, that's the only explanation you could possibly come up with. You know, unless you're moving the entire, you know, Batman show to Tokyo or something, you're not getting anything by race swapping Harley Quinn to an Asian person. It's just stupid. It's like saying, well, I'm going to make all the characters half a foot shorter. That's an immutable characteristic. It doesn't matter. You know, I'm going to redo the show with little people. That's not going to matter either. Although it would be freaking hilarious, especially their voices. So, what do you know? It does matter up to a point. You just, you know, when they made the Sandman live action TV show and they cast a black girl, which would have been fine if they put her in the pale makeup, but they didn't. The Endless have white skin, and I mean like pale white skin, like white as snow skin. They're not human. They're not human at all. They're Endless, which is different, and they should have had the pale white skin, but they didn't, because why? Was it to make the show better? Did that make the show better in some way? No. It was a virtue signal to their audience to try to kowtow to some ridiculous thing about race. that has no business being in the show. You can't go down that path unless there's a reason for it. Everything you do in a story has to have a reason. And if you're going to reboot things or re-explain things, there has to be a reason for it. There has to be a reason for it. So, JC, a black Harley Quinn in the 40s might work. She's driven to villainy due to racism. That's not her character, though. That's completely not her character. That would be a cool character, but it's not the character of Harley. Harley's not even that important. She got important because of the original cartoon, but legit ESG. You have to have this thing. Apparently, if you want these cheap loans, it's all tied into BlackRock and a few other companies. I mean, the really big companies. We're talking like, there's the studio people, and then there's Warner Brothers corporate and Disney corporate, and then way above that is BlackRock and all these big companies that just have massive amounts of money. Another thing now I've heard that they'll threaten companies with, if they don't play ball with ESG, they'll manipulate their stock because they have that kind of money. And they could even threaten a company like Disney, which is the biggest media company in the United States. They have trillions of dollars. Disney is not a $1 trillion company. It's worth a few $100 billion, but it's not a $1 trillion company. The BlackRock could buy Disney. They have the money. But I think it's part of I think there's behind the scenes, I think, and I've said this many times, I think the overall goal of the Communist Party of China is to destroy Hollywood so they can replace it. Now, I don't think they have the capability of replacing it because the communists can't make movies. They don't understand that they can't make movies. It's not that they make movies, but they're always terrible because they always hit a wall creatively because it's full of propaganda and nobody wants to see that. So, but the idea would be to break Hollywood to the point at which they could have so much influence you couldn't make a movie that would disparage China or whatever, and they would have undue influence in the movie industry. But in the process, instead, I think they've ended up destroying the movie industry. Indie Phantom, Ryan Reynolds was lucky to get another superhero after Green Lantern. That movie sucked hard. I've heard the legends. JC, you can put the lore of the game in the comic and get creative distributing it. Maybe package it with the books. Yes. Legit. Haha. Dang, that's wild with the ESG thing. I know, right? It's crazy. Inside the booth. Interesting. Yeah, AI is part of it too. Indie Phantom, I asked them to hold the ESG when I get Chinese now. Nice. Carter Chain is here. Sorry, Carter, your greeting is long overdue. Hi, Carter. How you doing? Inside the booth. Should just create a good black characters then. Race swapping is dumb. Yes, I agree. Carter Chain, all it matters is that Asian Harley is hot. Well, that could help me. That could help me get over it. She won't be, though. She looks a little chunky in this still. Inside the booth, just call it another universe. LOL. Yeah, you could do that too. But then, why am I watching it? I mean, it technically is, but... Indie Phantom, one reason to race swap Catwoman was probably for an exec to screw Halle Berry. Oh, you meant story reasons. Yeah, there's just no reason. I mean, and, a lot of black fans complain when they do race swap because they feel like they're getting hand-me-down characters as opposed to original characters. Milestone Comics did an entire line of black characters, and some of them are really good. And DC owns them. I don't know why they don't just incorporate them, and I think they may already be incorporated into the DC universe. I'm not sure. The only one that really gained any kind of real popularity, I guess, was Static Shock, because they did a cartoon. Legit, at Indie Phantom, the most famous Catwoman from the TV show was Eartha Kitt, bro. She's black mixed. They didn't go with white again until the 1990s movie. Legit. This was throughout the 1960s. No one complained. that though get your point. Yeah, like with a Batman, the original Batman, live action Batman, that show was campy, so it doesn't matter. And in that case, you want to pick the person that will give you the funniest or broadest performance. And Eartha Kitt, fit that bill. It didn't matter that she was black. But, you weren't trying for a comic book accurate show with the campy Batman show. That show was meant to be out of control. They added a bunch of characters. They added King Tut was not an original Batman villain. I believe that one was for the TV show. They made one for, I think, Vincent Price. His was he was like the egg guy. He had like a bald head shaped like an egg, and he made a bunch of egg puns. I think there were a couple others, and but that shows you that at least back in the 60s they were still being creative. They would create characters just for the show, and they didn't care. That's because back then people just got paid for doing the show. That wasn't an era of residuals. It's the residuals that, while I think people should be paid residuals, it has become the reason why you don't get new stuff, because there are characters and properties that the studios own outright, and then there are ones that they don't. The new ones are the ones they have to follow all the current rules for. The old ones, they own those. So they can make all the Batman they want. They can make all the if they own the IP outright, they can do whatever the hell they want with it over and over again, and they don't have to pay anybody royalties. But you create a new character for Batman to fight, they got to pay royalties, which is why I've heard behind the scenes they don't do it. They don't even do it in the comics. I tell this story all the time. I pitched Batman, one of the Batman editors, 12 new villains, 12 issues, vote online for your favorite new Rogues Gallery member. And his response was, there is no way I could get this storyline approved. The lawyers will never approve it because they don't want to fill out the paperwork for all these trademarks. That's the reality of it. And that's hurting them. It's hurting the overall brand. It's not what creative people do. It's not what they should be doing as a creative brand. They should be expanding it. They should be constantly adding new characters into the mix. But they don't want to. They don't want to they don't want to fill out the paperwork and pay $300 every time I come up with an idea. Even though it'll be theirs, they don't want to have to deal with paying me every time they trot it out, and they just want to own it outright. Now, if they changed the rules and they said to me, well, we want to own it outright, so we'll pay you a lot of money up front, but then you don't get any residuals. Me, as a guy who's always broke, sure, I'd go for that. But, there are guys who created stuff like Superman, and they were broke while the comic was making millions of dollars. Is that right? Well, morally, no. Business-wise, don't sell it. Don't sell your characters. I missed a bunch of comments. Legit, I don't know. I don't mind people complaining about the race swapping, but complain across the board. Legit, people are okay with character race swap, hence the Tom Holland Spider-Man are all Miles Morales. They just swapped him with Peter Parker due to the deal with Sony. Legit, Peter Parker's best friend Harry Osborn and Mary Jane, Miles Morales, it's the fat Asian kid and the mixed race MJ. I didn't hear people complain. Well, people did mention it, but they're more concerned with the main character, I think. But point taken. Point is, if we're going to be against it, I want it across the board is my only gripe. If it's me, I say just do it like the comic did. Add other characters as you need them. But, you know, again, it comes back to the IPs. They own the IP for Mary Jane, Harry Osborn, Miles Morales. They don't own like they own Peter Parker. The fat Asian kid, was he one of the original characters? I don't even know. Probably. So, like, they own them, so they can just mix and match whoever they want. And they know too that people don't know all the characters that well, but they know Spider-Man. They know who Peter Parker is. And Zendaya can kind of pass for, you know, she can pass, I think, for someone who's looks kind of white. So I don't think it was that big a deal. But I think if they had done it to Peter Parker, people would have been up in arms because it's Peter Parker, and that sort of takes you out of it. I guess here's the metric: if it takes you out of it, don't do it. You know, for Spider-Man, a new set of movies, you could do it as long as you left Spider-Man alone. You know, they race swapped Flash Thompson too. He's Indian in the movie. I think he was a bad cast, though. I do think Flash Thompson should not have been a skinny Indian kid who's rich. Flash Thompson was like the jock that pushed Peter Parker around. He should have been like a 6 foot tall muscle head. He should have been who's the guy who played the werewolf in the Twilight Zone movies? Like that guy. Should have been built by like that guy. That to me would be like a Flash Thompson. I forget his name. Legit, fair metric, I'll agree. Inside the Booth, off subject, but Ghostbusters 2016 was bad because of the writing. It was bad too because the entire concept was bad. Because, look, if you're going to reboot Ghostbusters, why make them women? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It disrupts the whole thing. There was no point to rebooting it. All at that time, I think everybody was alive except Harold Ramis. Nobody wanted a reboot. They could have made them the daughters of the previous characters, or, you know, the relatives of, and they have to take over the business for whatever reason, and then you could have brought them in there. And instead, they did this weird reboot. I think it's a very conscious decision to try to replace characters in order to say, haha, men, now we own it. And it was also just not great. From what I saw, the clips, I mean, it looked unwatchable to me, and a lot of people complained about it. Holly M, I think a lot, hello Holly, by the way, I think a lot of the problem is too when they race swap and the actors are not good actors and only picked because of their race. I think when it's a good actor, people don't mind as much. That's another factor too. Yeah, absolutely. If you have someone who really knocks it out of the park with their performance, you're also not going to care. Eartha Kitt, I think, would be the example of that, because Eartha was so cool as Catwoman, doing her whole perfect thing, that people really enjoyed it. Inside the Booth, true, or could have been more like Extreme Ghostbusters. Legit, they want to replace them because they have to pay the original toy creators, artists, royalties from the old deals. They wanted to know chicks and people, so new toys, new characters, and they own 100%. Yep. Indie Phantom, haven't seen a Ghostbusters since the first sequel in '89, which was already a big quality drop. Totally, 100% agree. The first act's kind of okay, and then the rest of it's just like, Legit, for Ghostbusters, yes. Yeah. So, and look, when you look at a show like the 60s Batman and you see that they used all the characters and then they just started making up characters, that's a show that had a bunch of writers who were creative guys who understood the show and could do cool stuff with it. And the writing quality in the 60s was pretty good. If you look at old TV from that era, it's pretty damn good. One of my favorite shows from that era is Get Smart. Get Smart's one of the funniest shows you'll ever see, and it was written by Mel Brooks and Buck Henry at times. And let me tell you something, those two, friggin' phenomenal. Buck Henry was such a funny writer that he was a host on Saturday Night Live. And he was one of the funniest hosts on Saturday Night Live, back when it was very subversive. And they did the funniest sketch with him ever, and it was just about him. They did a sketch. Buck Henry had hosted the show so many times. They did a sketch in which a bunch of people protested the show because Buck was hosting again. and he was absolutely clueless why anybody was mad at him, and it was very, very funny. So, I mean, you just can't beat those guys. The people they have writing today, they're not, first off, they're not funny at all. Many of them are ideological, driven by this DEI crap, because they only got hired because of DEI. They, you know, in order to hire a writer, you have to be able to read. And this has been a big problem in Hollywood for a long time. Most people won't read the damn scripts, and they don't know a good one even if they do read it. So what they do is they have their assistants read everything. And this has been a problem in Hollywood for a long time. Sorry, I'm on a rant. I'll get back to you in a minute. And I tell this story all the time. There was a producer who I worked with, and he decreed that he was not going to read the scripts. He wanted synopsises written, or treatments, as they call it. Now, when you write a treatment, there's different ways to write a treatment, but usually if you have a treatment for a screenplay, it could be just prose written out the events of the movie, could be as long as 20 pages. Well, he didn't want to read anything even that long, so he asked for treatments. Like, I think he asked initially for 3 pages treatments, and so the assistants wrote that up. He said too long, he didn't read them. He said get it down to a page. So the assistant went back, rewrote all the treatments to a page, sent the email. Producer said, nope, too long. Get it down to a paragraph. Assistant went back, rewrote it, got them all down to a paragraph. Sent the email. Producer said, nope, too long. Get it down to a sentence. Assistant went back, did 1 sentence for every movie. He didn't read the email. So that's the way it works in Hollywood. These guys don't read. That's why they're mostly fixated on the title, and then you get a movie that has a title and it has almost nothing to do with the damn movie. My personal experience. So I had some producers who were interested in one of my comic books, and they had not read the comic. I had sent them copies of the comic. Some of the comics online, I pointed them to that. They hadn't read any of it. And they kept pitching ideas about the movie, and I realized they hadn't read the comic when they pitched back my own ideas as theirs. And I said, wait a minute, that's in the comic. And they said, oh, yeah, I knew that. And then they continued to talk, and then they pitched another idea that was mine. And I said, that's in the comic too. You haven't read the comic, have you? Oh, no, I read it. Oh, you have? How come you're pitching my own ideas back to me, you idiot? And I did say idiot in that conversation. I was extremely pissed. Inside the booth. Agreed. 60s and later, even in the 80s and some 90s, was some good writing. Legit. I've been watching old shows from the 50s to 60s in England, like Billy Bunter or Wacko. I've never heard of those shows. Interesting. Ahead of its time with comedy, different racial characters and scenarios. The writers were better in the past, more clever. The whole system is like that. You got a pitch, and you have 2 minutes for most of the producer types. Haha, they don't even read the scripts. You're right. Yeah, I mean, my personal experience is I can't get people to read my scripts. When I do, they really like them. I've had many producers send me personal notes saying, I really liked your script. And then I would, of course, email them back. If you liked it so much, why don't you buy it? Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that movie. Sorry. I had a producer loved my script so much that can I pass it on to my friend at Disney? And they did, and that was a disaster, but that's another story. Inside the booth, wow, I did not know that reading was a problem for them. It's a huge effing problem. And part of it, you can't blame them because, again, most of the people in Hollywood, even before DEI, weren't qualified to write scripts either. You know who they were? They were the brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, grandsons, and granddaughters of the people who already work in the movie industry. And they're talentless, rich kids who can't write. So they would write a terrible screenplay, say, will you read my screenplay, Grandpa? And will you make it? And maybe you've been in the industry for a while, or maybe you're just new. And guess what? It's a terrible screenplay. It's really tough to read a bad screenplay, by the way. Like, I've had to do it for other people to rewrite them and fix them. And let me tell you, it's easily the hardest thing I've ever done. It's brutal. Because not only is the screenplay bad and you're trying to fix it, you have to figure out what they even meant when they wrote it. Because they're so terrible. If you can't write a script, you shouldn't even do it. But you should leave it up to a professional. But the level of professionalism in Hollywood is so low. That's the last thing they think of. I've heard stories of literally producers walking out into the office and seeing the intern and saying, hey, kid, would you like to write a screenplay? And they'll let some intern write the damn screenplay because they care that little about the damn story. Because they figure, no, well, we'll fix it. Whatever he writes, we'll fix it. I just need a guy to type it out. And then they end up not giving you credit anyway. So, oh, we changed it, so that's why you're not getting credit. Or that's why you're story consultant now. They're happy to take the credit, by the way. Oh, they'll take the credit right away from you. Oh, they love doing that because that's where all the money is in writing, at least in movies. Holly M. Reading is fundamental. LOL. Yeah, not in L.A. Legit. Haha. We call it whose dumb nephew niece did this whenever we see crap on Hollywood. It's all family deals and doing favors for their friends and they got fired. Yeah, but they don't get fired. They get rehired. Because they should have done what their parents did, hire a talented guy or take credit for it. They can't even do that now. Ha ha ha. Yeah, they don't want to. Because they want the money. They want all the money. They want the money to produce. They want the money to write. I've heard, believe me, there are horror stories you wouldn't believe. The only upshot is they're so terrible and such egomaniacs, when they usually steal a script, they'll change it and ruin it. They'll ruin it to the point it'll be an absolute disaster. And it's all like that. This is a problem in Hollywood I've said for years. The problem is the screenwriter has virtually no power unless the director gives it to him. So like Clint Eastwood works with screenwriters and he respects them and works with them and uses really good screenwriters. So he will listen to the screenplay. He will, they will work out most of the problems. You can work out 90% of the problems in a movie in the screenplay. Like 99%, really. The only thing you have to do after you finish the screenplay is then the logistics of actually shooting a damn thing. There's no reason to go off half-cocked with a screenplay that's partially finished and start shooting a damn thing. You're not going to make it better by doing that. 99%. Now, there are a couple of actors that could improv their way sort of through it. Like Walter Goggins in Fallout. He's so good, like, he carries most of that show by himself. It's just fun watching for his performance. The moment he leaves the screen, though, I'm like, ugh. So, but 9 times out of 10, if you have a good screenplay, all you got to do is follow the instructions and shoot the damn thing, and then it's great. If everybody's on the same page, everybody reads a good screenplay and says, oh, this is really good. They get excited, and the entire movie's better. But if you've got a S screenplay, one that doesn't quite make sense, it frustrates people, it frustrates the actors, and then people start throwing out, hey, we could fix it. What if we did this? I got an idea for a scene. Oh, yeah, me too. Now, if you're on a set and you say to the gaffer, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we move the lights over here? He'll tell you to shut your effing mouth. If you go to the electrician, hey, I got an idea. Instead of tapping the electric line in this telephone pole, why don't you go down the street and tap it down there? He'll tell you to go to hell. If you say to the craft services person, hey, instead of making tuna fish today, why don't you go down the street and buy some deli meats and make deli sandwiches? She'll say, stay in your lane. If you tell the director what to do, he'll say, I'm boss. Shut the F up. You're fired. But everybody on the set, from the interns all the way up to the producers, are happy to throw out their 2 cents. Oh, by the way, I got a great idea for a scene or a line or character. Hey, can I pitch it to you? That's the problem with screenwriters. They get zero respect. Everybody thinks they can write screenplays. They can't. They suck. Or they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand. And when you do a good screenplay, it's like a Swiss watch. All the pieces come together and it works. Tick, 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 tick. You can't just come along and say, oh, I got a great idea for cog. Let me just jam this cog in there and it'll make it even better. It might. It probably won't. Sorry, that's my screenwriter's rant. There you go. You wanted a screenwriter's rant? You got it. Legit. I think a renaissance is coming for film. Honestly, I think better films are coming. Yeah, probably. Clint Eastwood is legit for that. He certainly is. Legit. But you're right. A lot of people don't even read the scripts and should not even be there. It's Napoleon Wood nowadays. Oh, sorry. Nepotism Wood. Nepotism Wood nowadays. Sorry. I'm so tired from the shows. I'm a little blurry. Legit. Haha. I totally understand. Screenwriters have to listen to crap from idiots. Haha. I feel you. Inside the booth. LOL. Holly. Bad screenplay. Just add more CGI. That is one of their solutions. The next solution is going to be, oh, we don't need a screenplay. We have the AI. Here, put it in the AI. We got most of the ideas. Let's just take all our ideas and put it in the AI. And the AI will figure it out. And we'll edit it. We'll fix it in post. So, what's coming, by the way, and this is now I'm into AI, so I might as well talk about it. So, Clownfish TV did a video this week. You should check it out. There's a new company out, and it has now a platform in which, just like when you can type in a prompt for the AI art and you get a picture, you can type in a prompt for an AI movie now, and you get a little show or a movie. Now, they did the test with their platform using South Park, and the AI made an entire South Park episode. Now, there were problems with it. The voices were wrong. Like, there were the wrong characters, like Stan, like Butters sounded like Stan, and Cartman sounded like somebody else. But the voices sounded like Stan, and I forget the other character. It was just that the wrong characters on the screen. And that's an easy fix. But the platform is capable of editing. So you could go back and say, no, don't do Stan's voice for Butters, use Butters' voice for Butters and change the voice. And the AI could do that. And then so you could have the AI make you a South Park episode, go through it and tweak it, and then put it online, and you'd have a new South Park episode. So this is coming. They're still working out the bugs. When they work out the bugs, what your Netflix is going to be is not going to be movies, because movies will be too expensive to make. What it'll be is Netflix will have a bunch of characters or a bunch of actors who they've licensed or whatever they've licensed or own, and they'll say, would you like to make a movie with these characters? Or this week we licensed, I don't know, all the characters from Warner Brothers, let's say. Or maybe Warner Brothers will have this technology, or Disney, or Paramount, or all of them. So you'll go to their streamer and you'll say, I would like to see a Mad Max movie starring Mel Gibson that takes place after Beyond Thunderdome, and where Mad Max is old, and I want to see Tom Hardy in it too, as young Mad Max, or a son of Mad Max. like everything I just described early on when we were talking about Furiosa. So I can get the Mad Max movie I want, and the AI will make it for me. It'll be complete with music, it'll be complete with stunts, and it won't involve a singer actor, except it'll take from the movies that already exist and process them and spit them out. Now, right now, the technology isn't it's in its infancy, but the South Park episode, it was close. It wouldn't have passed mustard, but it's damn close. It's damn close. So we're about 5 years away from the complete collapse of the movie industry as you know it. So people aren't going to make movies like they used to. And when this technology becomes so pervasive that you can make a movie in your laptop, guess who's going to make Pineys movies all day long? This guy. And all I'm going to have to do is take the audiobook from Pineys #1, say, here are all the voices of the characters. Now give me images of all the characters. Now give me the first Pineys movie based on book 1. And the AI will churn around and then crap out a Pineys movie, and then I'll go through it and edit it to make it look like I want, and voila, Pineys movie. And then I'll put it out on the internet for, I don't know, like $5, let's say. So book #1, the Pineys, has launched. See the Pineys movie, and then for $5 you can see the whole movie. I'll make a trailer and the whole thing. It'll be great, I say, because now I won't need Hollywood. All these years of me banging my head to get into Hollywood, F these guys. I've got the AI technology at my fingertips. But we're not quite there yet. Give it another 5 years, I think. Inside the booth. I feel like it's a time for the rise of independent films. Yes, you may be right. Carter Chain. I thought Hollywood couldn't do AI because of the writer's strike. Oh, no. I think the writer's strike was on purpose. I think they want to make movies so expensive that they're going to say, oh, we can't afford to do movies anymore. So now we have to use AI. And they're not movies. We're going to call them media something. I don't know. They'll call them something different. They'll classify them as something other than a movie. Oh, we didn't make a movie. We just made a media, conglomeration or whatever you want to call it. And they just won't use writers. And for you got to figure a sitcom, a really stupid sitcom, like I always say Three's Company, because that's what I grew up with. But Three's Company was the dumbest sitcom in the world. I used to watch it all the time. And it was just about a dude who pretended he was gay to live with 2 beautiful women in an apartment because he couldn't find an apartment. And then it was just jokes about him being gay and the landlord who was clueless, but really he was straight and he was trying to get with every other hot chick in the neighborhood. And then their neighbor was another guy who was constantly looking for hot chicks, and then the 2 chicks he lived with were hot. So if you put in every Three's Company episode into the AI, I'm very certain the AI could make Three's Company's episodes from now until the sun cools. And I'm very certain that people will watch them with about as much interest as I watch them, although slightly different because people watch TV for different reasons now. But you could just put it on and it'll just be mindless stuff in the background. Legit, I think I saw for the South Park. It sucked, but it made a few episodes. Yeah, it's not up to snuff yet, but it's getting there. If Trey and Parker get a hold of that technology, I bet they can fire all their animators. JC, I mean, South Park would be an easy one to replicate. They S an episode out in 2 days with pre-made plugins. That is true. But it's going to get to the point where they could literally just, do 80% of the work in about an hour and then just edit the episode. Indie Phantom, did South Park creators sign off on the AI thing for some promotion? No, they made it clear that it's not for public consumption. It was just for a test. But I don't know. The South Park guys, I don't know if they're upset by it. They didn't make any money on it, so I think it's safe for them to do as a test. Holly M, that's going to open up a whole can of lawsuits. Scarlett Johansson is already suing ChatGPT. Yeah, it might be her voice. I mean, they approached her. Indie Phantom, I have to review the stream later because I want to hear more trashing of Furiosa's second weekend fail. You missed all that in the beginning. Indie Booth, love listening to the rants. Gotta go for now and put my kids to bed. I may be back. Thanks for coming in inside the booth. Indie Phantom, for indie films to rise, cinema chains have to start looking at their staff. I could see them doing deals where they take more of a cut. 70% of opening weekend goes to the cinema instead of 50. I don't know if that'll work, but that's an interesting pitch. JC, they only have like 5 animators already. Well, now they need 0. I don't think they'll. I actually don't think the South Park guys can make it any more efficient, quite frankly. But maybe they'll just do an episode a day. I don't know. As fast as they could write them. Viacom or whoever owns South Park probably gave them all the plug-in animation use. Maybe. But for theaters, I don't know. I think theaters are going to be niche. I think the chains will collapse, and what you'll have left is you'll have like theaters in big cities. They'll still survive. It'll be a night at the theater where they show movies or have a play or do some sort of event. It's not going to be like theaters are a thing. Some will hang on for decades, but a lot of them will close because nobody's going to the theater. And because, until somebody re-engineers the experience, and we talked about this in previous weeks, I don't want to get into it again, but, the experience is so terrible. Once somebody re-engineers it and makes it a different experience, then maybe people will come back for that new experience or slightly better experience, or if they make it cheaper. So like one of the things they did, I had a drive-in movie theater near me for many years that hung on until I think the 90s or 2000s. There's still one in New Jersey. There's still one drive-in movie theater, but it's not the one I'm thinking of. That one's closed. So what they did was they started towards the end offering these specials where you got great deals. You could see 3 or 4 movies at a pop. So they might do something like that where AMC might say, okay, for $10 you can come in and see movies all day. So if you want to sit there all day, see, most people won't go. Like when I was a kid and I wanted to get into screenwriting, I would go to the movies and buy one ticket and I would see all the movies if I could. Sometimes they spotted me and I'd have to leave, but for the most part it was fine. I would just sneak into the other movie theaters. So if they offered something like that, like, yeah, you still got to pay $10 to $15 for a movie, but now you can come back. You could see a movie early in the day, and then you can come back later and see a movie at night. You just have an all-day pass, and that would make it more efficient and cheaper. Like, it's worth it now. Now I can go see 2 movies, and now when I parse it out, well, I'm really seeing 2 movies for $7.50 instead of paying $15. Or if I go really nuts like I did in the old days, I sit there all day and watch movies. If I could find 3 to watch, it costs me like next to nothing. But most people won't do that, which is why it's a brilliant idea, and I just announced it. It's a brilliant idea. I just saved the movie industry. Here, theaters, you idiots, offer all your tickets as a one-day pass. And people can see movies all day. You don't have to change the price. There you go. Almost nobody will take you up on it, but it'll perceive to have a value. I think that could work. Whoops. What's happening? Okay. I could see the Asylum taking over cinemas before the art house material. I would love to see charts on cinemas that have shuttered in the past decade. JC, just need to get in the theater to charge them for the food. Indie Phantom,
Still a successful drive-in near me, but my car isn't comfy enough, and the movie starts so late you don't even get home until like 2 a.m. JC, offered $20 all-day pass. I don't think you need to bother to raise the price. I think you can. I think you could just offer it for the normal price, because I don't think anybody will take you up on it. You know, you just change all the tickets to all-day pass, and then almost nobody will do it. The only people who do it will be kids, who are, you know, who have the time, and there's just not even enough movies. The other thing they need to do is they need to show more movies, more different types of movies. They just don't have. I mean, this list of movies. Oh my God, this is the weekend. Jesus, this weekend is a disaster. I just scrolled down and saw. We got to get through this. Number 6. Jesus. Number 6, The Strangers, Chapter 1. This was 6 last week. 3.6 million. This is a horror movie. It's doing fine. Again, if Hollywood went back to horror movies, they'd be making money. JC, you still want to keep primetime blockbusters exclusive. Yeah, you would have some caveat, like when you buy the ticket, they expect you to go see that movie, and then the pass is good for other movies, but if you you have to like come in and check in so they can mark off your seat, and you have to stand in line again or get served last or whatever if you're coming in for a second movie or whatever. Like, the idea is you want to fill up the theater when nobody's there, right? So you want to see, like, what I would do if they offered that. I would buy the all-day pass. I would show up on a Tuesday at the earliest possible showing, watch the first movie, hop into the next movie, and just watch movies all day. And I'd watch 3 or 4 movies and then go home. Go home probably like, I can't see. I've been in the movies all day, which is what used to happen. Indie Phantom, I think they do pump out a lot of horror in a year. Yeah, but it doesn't get to the theaters. It needs to get distribution, and distribution should be easier. Like, they've stranglehold the distribution. They need to put these things in theaters. JC, just make it an all-day pass for everything that's been out for more than a week. Yeah, no, that's what I said. The whole theater. They have these places, they have all these screens, but they show the same damn movies. I get it. Like, if you've got a blockbuster like Furiosa that was supposed to be a blockbuster, though, I get why you'd show it the first weekend on 3 screens. But after that, you could clearly see it's a flop. Take it off the screens. Take it off all 3 screens, really. But no, you're gonna dumb it down to 1, and then put something else on the other screens. Have backup movies. JC, theaters would make money from the food, just need people in the seats. Yes, and food is another area where they could do something about it. They could make better food. They could charge more money if it was better. They really need to look at the food. And they really need to get drinks. If they put beer in movie theaters, it changes the game. Because then people could get loaded. And they go to the movies and they get 2 beers and they'd go into the theater with their popcorn. And then you could give away popcorn. Because you can charge money for beer. Like beer, even crap beer. You can charge $5-6 a cup and people will still buy it. They need to get beer in the movie theaters. That would save it. Number 7, Hayaku, the dumpster battle from Crunchyroll. 3.5 million, the 7th highest grossing movie in the United States, is called Hayaku, the dumpster battle. And it's only made 11 million worldwide. It's a weird movie. I don't know what that is, but it shouldn't be a top 10 movies. Holly, they have theaters where they can drink. Yeah, but not enough. Like AMC needs to do it. AMC in all their theaters and all the big chains. They need to be like, that needs to be like top priority, I think. and then they would make so much money on the beer, then they could do what I've always said. They should just give away popcorn. They should give you a small bag of popcorn with every movie, because then you'll buy a drink. Because then you'll eat the popcorn and you'll be like, oh man, I'm thirsty now. Let me go get a drink. Carter, they have beer in the movies near me and almost no one buys it. I don't know. Perhaps why it's too marked up? Well, maybe. Or maybe it sucks. Like, maybe you need to do the IPA thing? I mean, yeah. Okay. So I guess they tried it and it's not working. Indie Phantom. I don't even care if a movie theater survived now. More content to stay home. Really used to the bathroom breaks and subtitles making my own food. Yeah, me too. I'm getting used to that. JC, popcorn is like 90% of their profits. Yeah, but it's also, you don't give them a big one. You give them a little one. Just a tiny little bag. Just to get people thirsty. And then you sell them the drinks. The soda is the one I think makes them money. I don't know. If you can get some profit margin on something else, then you could give away the popcorn. LeMay, a volleyball sports anime? It says the dumpster battle. I don't know what that means. JC, cost pennies to pop popcorn and they sell it for like $10. I know, it's ridiculous though. I never buy the movie popcorn anymore. I've snuck in plenty of my own food though. JC, soda is all profit too. Yeah, maybe just concentrate on the soda. Because there are people who will take the free popcorn thinking, oh, I'm not going to buy the soda. I'm very clever. And then they'll go into movie theaters and eat the popcorn and be like, oh, man, now I'm so thirsty. I'm going to go get a soda. Number 8, In a Violent Nature. This movie looked kind of cool. It's sort of like a very elegantly shot slasher movie. It looked like they really did some cinematography on this one. So if you like slasher movies, this might be the one for you. 2.1 million though. I don't know. What's this movie cost? I'm wondering. It doesn't say. Doesn't look like it's doing well. Indie Phantom. The indie cinema makes way better popcorn here than the change. Less healthy, but more tasty. Ezra also premiered from Bleecker Street, 1.1 million. This is the one with Benedict Cumberbatch? No, this is the one with Robert De Niro and Bonnie Cannavale. 1.1 million. Yeah, thanks a lot for opening your big yap, De Niro. I think you probably hurt this movie. Although, it's more of an art house thing. And it's really more of a Bobby Cannavale movie. It's a shame. He's a good actor. Well, it's a little broader than an art house movie. It's in 1,300 theaters. That ain't going nowhere. 1.1 million. Holly M, I heard it was not that good. In a Violent Nature. Oh, really? It looked cool. I mean, the look of that movie's nice. Number 10 is Sight from Angel Studios, dropping down to 10 from 7. $1 million. Ooh, that's a drop of 61%. That is not good. And it's in more theaters. That is not good. But I got to be honest, it kind of looks like a boring movie. 5.8 million. But it did look inspirational. I'll say that. I like the subject matter about a guy who becomes a great doctor. Indie Phantom. The drive-in here has given free small soft drinks for years. Their canteen does everything from burgers to homemade pretzels. See, that sounds good. It sounds like you can make money doing that, but only if you have a low overhead. See, the corporations, I guess, can't make that work. Somehow. I don't know why. Holly M, I want the movie experience where the ushers are dressed up. People are going down the aisles and they're using props like in the 50s. Well, that would be kind of cool. I think that would be very niche, though. But it could work. Number 11 is Babes. A little under $1 million. 2.7 million if you want to see yet another feminist comedy. Number 12 is Tarot. Horror movie that made money. 400,000 going out of theaters. Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biopic. This seemed to crash and burn. It's in its third week, just about done. 32 million, most of it overseas. I don't think this made money. Yeah, I'm not sure the budget, but I don't think it was money. Civil War, somehow still in theaters. Please go away. Unsung Hero, that made money. That's from Lionsgate. Kung Fu Panda, of course, made money. Number 4. Making number 5. Wildcat did not make money. $64,000. Evil Does Not Exist. I forget what this is. Yeah, 1.6 million. That doesn't sound like money. Premiering Robot Dreams. This is the Oscar-winning movie about a dog and a robot who become friends and maybe more, I think. 3.6 million. Flip Side from Oscilloscope. No idea what this is. $12,879. Looks like it's about a record store. And Handling the Undead. Oh my God, I've been hearing about this movie forever. This is, I think it's like a Swedish zombie movie where people die and turn into zombies, and then people, like, it's really sad and dramatic. Like, they have to take care of them. It's awful. It's kind of awful. Oh my God, and they have an upside down cross on the movie poster. What's up with that? Oh, it's so sad and weird. But it's zombies, but it's dramatic. Let's see. Indie Phantom. Yeah, the drive-in theater here makes a killing. In the winter, he owns the arena canteen for local hockey. Same menu. Genius. Carter Chain. Civil War went to streaming pretty quick. Why is it still being shown? Because I guess there's nothing else to put in the theater. I don't know. Indie Phantom, Civil War unprofitable. Think it was A24's biggest opening. Yeah, I'm a little worried they're going to make another one. It's kind of disheartening to see a propaganda, basically what I think is a propaganda film, make money. But look at this tally, 62 million for the whole weekend. This is like terrible. This is beyond terrible. We're in the middle of the summer, basically. I mean, technically not, but it's June. Oh my God, 62 million for June. These are January numbers. These are January numbers. Jesus, 62 million. That's no good. That's very not good. I mean, that's just awful. 62 million for the weekend. It's just awful. It's bad enough it's under 100 million, but my God, it's not even close. 62 million. And most of it's Garfield and If and Furiosa. That's like half of it. And the rest is... Ugh, that's just disgusting. It's disgusting. But that's Hollywoke. That's Hollywoke. All right. Let's shift gears here to the trades and see what's trending or happening. Yeah, here's Garfield claws his way back to number 1. Jennifer Lopez canceled her troubled tour, This Is Me Now tour. I don't know who listens to Jennifer Lopez music. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there, but I've never met anyone. I've never met anyone I knew personally who went, "Ooh, Jennifer Lopez, I like that song." Like, I couldn't name you a single song she's ever made. It always seemed like she was more of an actress than a singer, but whatever. But now she canceled her tour, and apparently it's embarrassing. But look at this headline: Society's twisted pleasure in seeing strong women fall. Yeah, somehow I bet you wouldn't be saying this if this was some dude. The this feels like part of a PR campaign to deflect. Sounds like she canceled her tour because not enough people wanted to see her sing. I don't know. She hadn't done anything to my knowledge that would make her more unappealing than she already kind of is, but what are you going to do? Carter Chain, maybe things will start looking better now that Harvey Weinstein is out. Oh, Jesus. Woo! Spicy. Indie Phantom heard Australian cinemas were really going down hard. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to go to an Australian cinema. I would assume it's like the same cinema we have here, only like 20 years ago, you know? Holly M, I heard her and Ben are having issues and he may go off the wagon, says Holly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's real or that's just like some media hype that just got blown out of proportion. But yeah, I guess. Or maybe she's having a breakdown. Indie Phantom, I might listen to J-Lo if she was blowing me, maybe. Jesus. Indie Phantom. Hey now. JC. Jen's 20 years past her prime and a... what's that word? I can't read it. Oh, and as a star. No one remembers her, really. And she just had this movie flop, Atlas. Where's Atlas? I didn't even see Atlas on the... Atlas isn't even on the list. Didn't Atlas already premiere? Oh, right. It's only on Netflix, I guess. So I guess they didn't give it a theatrical release. Oh, man, they're making fun of that movie. She should probably thank her lucky stars they didn't give it a theatrical release. I think it'd be making 10 cents. There's a scene in it where the robot corrects her on her pronouns. Or the robot corrects her. JC, Atlas is a Netflix thing. Indie Phantom Atlas was Netflix. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it looks terrible. Looks terrible. It did not get good reviews. What is Atlas about? So, Atlas is the main character, and that's Jennifer Lopez. That's her name. And she has to go to this planet, and they give her like a mech suit with a robot in it, an AI. And the AI is the one that corrects her on the pronoun usage. And then she goes there and has to learn how to use the AI because there was a rogue AI that nearly destroyed the Earth, but it somehow reconstituted itself on this faraway planet. And so Jennifer Lopez has to go there with and work with another AI in order to destroy it, but she doesn't trust it. So it's like a buddy movie for Jennifer Lopez on a planet. But there's a scene in which, like, Jennifer Lopez is very feminine, and I think she still looks, pretty hot. I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers. But there's a scene in it where she has to be tough, right? She's in the mech and she goes, and she has to charge at the other mechs and goes, ah! But like, it's Jennifer Lopez. She's like a little 5 foot nothing, and she's hot. Like, if there was a bikini scene, it would totally work. If Jennifer plays, I said this in my trailer analysis, if Jennifer played like a singer or a model, ex-model, like, or, someone like that, like a diva or someone who is rich, like, she could play all those roles because she's hot and she's rich and she's a diva and whatever. Like, I never believed her in her, like, roles where she plays a maid or whatever. But, like, if you give her a role in which she's, wearing a bunch of hot outfits and, complaining about her lattes, yeah, I could believe Jennifer Lopez does that. I cannot believe Jennifer Lopez is a computer expert that saved the world from a deadly AI virus and then has to operate a giant robot in order to save humanity. I just can't believe it. It's just too much. Like, if it was a dude and Jennifer Lopez was the love interest, okay, I mean, she's a little old for it, but I could accept it. I could say, okay, Jennifer Lopez, like maybe she's helping the dude, whoever it is, and then, they have a hot, steamy scene because, oh, the robot's going to kill us. Well, we better make love now. That kind of thing. And then, like, he saves her from a bunch of evil robots. Yeah, I could maybe buy that, but I can't buy her as the main action hero. Come on. Really? And her name is Atlas? That doesn't even make any sense. Indie Phantom. Atlas looks like Rift Tracks must. Yeah. Woke AI is already among us, unfortunately. JC, sounds like an AI post-humanism propaganda. Yeah, kinda, I guess. Indie Phantom. J-Lo played a stripper in that movie a few years ago and almost got an Oscar nomination. I don't remember that one, but yeah, like she could play a stripper. She's hot. She could be one of Charlie's Angels like they did it in the 70s. She's hot. She can play feminine roles. But you make her an action star? Nah, it ain't gonna work. I'm not like, oh no, Jennifer Lopez is mad. Like, oh, the AI's in trouble now. Jennifer Lopez is finally mad. Nah, get the hell out of here. It's not gonna work. But who knows? I mean, maybe it was their own ego that drove this tour and the movie, and they both blew up in her face because maybe nobody wanted to tell her no. Maybe Ben was trying to do that, and she was like, Ben, I'm really getting sick of you. Why don't you go outside and smoke a cigarette and look exasperated? Let's see. Would Hitman be a hit in theaters? Netflix doesn't want you to know. Yeah, Glenn Powell's going to be in this new movie about a hitman where I think he pretends to be a hitman. He's not actually a hitman. He pretends to be a hitman in order to entrap people who want to hire hitmen. And it's based on a true story. Looks perfectly fine movie, but it's on Netflix. But Netflix doesn't want to release anything in theaters for some reason. Because they don't want to make money? I guess they're trying to drive everybody to their streaming platform or get people used to it, but yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. I think you're just making it easier for everybody to go, you know what? I think I'll pirate this movie when people forget about it. Or right now. I mean, I've heard people do that. I don't know anything about it. I just want to be clear. I've never pirated a movie in my life. I don't know what it's about. I wouldn't know the first step. Wouldn't know the first step of pirating movies. How does one do that? Who knows? Criminals do that, not me. But, yeah, I mean, I get Netflix for free, so I'll probably see this. But if it was in theaters, I probably wouldn't see it because it's already on Netflix. But if I wanted a night out, if I was dating someone, then maybe. One of these days, I'll get another girlfriend that likes to go out to movies. By that time, movies will be dead. We'll just watch them at home and chill. Donald Trump joins TikTok app he had tried to ban as president, citing credible threat to U.S. national security. Holly M. No comment on the pirate thing. Yeah, who does that? No one. JC, I watched an Indian cam version of Furiosa. Took me 2 minutes to find. I'm shocked. Who does that? That must be a fluke, JC. I'm sure you did that by accident. Yeah, so Donald Trump joining TikTok. First off, he's gotten 2 million followers in 2 hours. Or was it 2 hours? Yeah, I think it was 2 hours. Or 2 days, I forget. But Biden's been on TikTok since February, and he only has 135,000 subscribers. But, you know, you can get on TikTok if you're willing to compartmentalize your phone, which I assume Donald Trump has the money to do that, right? You could put it, you can have a phone, all it has on it is the TikTok, and the only thing you're doing is putting videos up on that phone and then locking it away and not putting any other information on it. Like if you have an extra phone like that, yeah, sure, be on TikTok. Just understand what it is. It's Chinese spyware. So is it hypocritical for him to go on it? Maybe a little, but at the same time, like, if he doesn't win the presidency, like, then nothing else kind of matters at that point, and he won't be able to ban TikTok. I think you should ban it. I think it's used as a, you know, as a weapon, a psychological weapon against people. I don't think you should trust anything on TikTok, and quite frankly, if anything, it's a waste of time for him to go on TikTok because I believe the Chinese completely control it. So, but I can understand why they did it. I mean, the optics alone of just how many followers he got is worth it. It's worth a win for today. But JC, I mean, it's his campaign on the TikTok. Let's be honest, it ain't banned until after the election. Yeah. All right, moving on to Fandom Pulse. Oh, this was a big story this week. Silent Hill 2 remakers Bloober hired hit detection DEI consultancy, and we may be seeing the first signs. So this is the character from Silent Hill 2, which apparently they fattened her up, and then someone made a meme where she's even fatter, and she says the scariest thing is diabetes. So it's weird. It's so weird to me that video games have gone woke because it was so not woke for so long, and I don't know why these woke women, man, they attack everything men love. They really do. The woke women, the woke feminists hate men. Like for many years, I sort of said, I don't think feminists hate men. I think they're kind of frustrated with men. No, I'm totally convinced now. They hate men. They just hate them. They hate them to have any joy whatsoever. And so they're destroying video games. Yet another thing to destroy. They destroyed comics, now they're destroying video games. It's just terrible. JC, she looks like David Duchovny. Yeah, she kind of does. She kind of looks like the lead singer of Journey back in the 80s. Don't stop believing. I'm stuck in Silent Hill. Oh, I love this headline. George Lucas doesn't think Disney was good stewards for Star Wars, everybody. So, good news. Good news. George Lucas. Turns out he doesn't think Disney were good stewards of Star Wars. Doesn't think that. Isn't that a revelation from the man who created Star Wars? Yeah. It's a good thing you backed Bob Iger in his recent move. Nelson Peltz, by the way, also this week. Nelson Peltz was the guy who was trying the hostile takeover of Disney. And Lucas has shares. JC, looks like John Levitt in a wig. Do you mean John Lovitz? John Levitt. Who's John Levitt? So, yeah, Lucas has shares in Disney too, and he backed Bob Iger to stay in power instead of Nelson Peltz, who was going to change things. And now, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, Nelson Peltz sold a bunch of his shares, and the price dropped by 2% because that's what happens when a lot of shares get sold. My understanding. My very, very limited understanding of finance and stock. Carter Change, I know George Lucas feels bad. I hope he can sleep well on his bed of money. Yeah. How do you sleep at night? On the
pile of money with many beautiful women. It's from the critic. JC, yes, Lovitz, or however you spell his name. Oh, okay. John Lovitz, yes. Acting. Indie Phantom. If Grand Theft Auto game is ultra woke, it's going to be a real issue. I don't think it's ultra woke. It looks to me like there might be a few woke elements. They definitely tried to push a female protagonist, but there's so much going on in that game. I think what you're getting, and this is just from what I've seen of the trailers and heard some buzz, I think what you're getting is a more like group kind of protagonist. So it's going to be the girl, and you're going to keep going back to her, but you're going to play a bunch of other characters too, because that was the previous one. Like, you got to play 3 characters. So I think what they're doing is kind of spreading it out. But it makes no sense because, like, you know, it's supposed to be a crime thing. So you'd think, you know, you're doing a crime thing, you should just concentrate on the crime and not worried about the races and sexes of the people committing the crime. And in fact, by making it woke, in other words, trying to say, oh, well, we should put more minorities and women in these positions, you're making them look bad because they're criminals. They're committing crime in the game. That's the point of the game, to commit a bunch of crime. So, I don't know. JC, it was back in April. He sold it when the stock was at 120. Oh, that was back in April? Oh, they just dropped the news a few days ago. Indie Phantom, The Critic was a fun show. Need to marathon that sometime. I really did like The Critic. JC, it's like a love story between a guy and a girl, looks like. That might be good. I mean, that doesn't. If that's the case, it won't be woke. It might actually be good. Indie Phantom, you can choose Girl Boss for GTA. Yeah, maybe you can choose both, which I guess I'd be okay with. Hold on, I came with backup this session, so I wouldn't run out of iced tea. Look how clever I am. Look at me. Refill, baby. There we go. Oh, it stayed pretty cold, too. That's my convention thermos, by the way. JC, I mean, most of the GTA protagonists were minorities. Right, but you'd think the woke tards would say, well, we have to make them not minorities to make, I don't know, white cis people bad? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to woke up crime, because crime isn't woke. Believe me, I wrote Complete Mafia for D20 and Complete Mafia for the West Coast. I spent like 3 years researching organized crime. It is not woke. It is the least woke thing in the world, crime. I just want to make that very clear. Indie Phantom, last GTA was released before the wokeness took hold of everything. Carter Chain, I guess we should give GTA credit for getting the crime demographics right. JC, yeah, if they do a Bonnie and Clyde slash Wild at Heart type thing, with GTA, it'd be good. Wild at Heart is Lynch at his least woke. Yeah, I did like Wild at Heart. That was a crazy movie. And I always think of the scene where Nick Cage is following a girl upstairs and he grabs her. All right. Yeah, here's Yellow Flash announcing the death of the girl boss in Furiosa. I don't know if that's true. I think we got a lot. I think we have a couple of more years before they really finally start just not doing these movies. But they're close. They're at the point where they're thinking about it, and a few of them are finally like, yeah, let's slow down on this.
But see, you still have projects that were in the pipeline from 5 years ago. Suicide Squad, I think, is one of them. Kill the Justice League. They're turning Mr. Freeze into Trans Freeze. I mean, it's the most insane thing I could possibly think of. They should have stopped this immediately. I mean, that's just dumb. It's just dumb. Indie Phantom. Oh wait, I missed one. GTA 5 is literally the most profitable media property in history. If any company doesn't need DEI loans, it's Rockstar Games. I don't know, man. They the finances of those guys are not great from what I hear. I mean, Razorfist was talking about it on one of his streams, I believe, and they were saying like they need hundreds of millions of dollars, and again, they're borrowing it. They're not using their own money. They're borrowing it to do it. That's what all these companies do. They're constantly leveraging. And so they're saving $10 million or whatever, figuring like, well, we'll borrow $125 million using and make it ESG compliant, and then we get a break and we save $10 million or whatever. But it ends up costing them more, I think, in the long run. I think when you hurt the brand, it's difficult to measure, but like look at Disney. Their brand is practically destroyed. They could come back from it still, but it'll take them a long time. They continue to destroy their brand. Same thing with Warner Brothers. Stuff like this damages the brand of Warner Brothers and DC. So the measurement of that is more difficult to measure. It's more long term. But these people, the corporate guys, don't care about long term in America, and that's a real problem. They're going to see, I really do think you're going to see Disney collapse eventually. It's going to take a while, but they're going to collapse, or they won't collapse, but they'll start selling off parts of their divisions and whatever. I don't know what that looks like. They may collapse back into the parks because that's where all the money is and the merchandising, and just, shut down their studio because they suck at making movies now, in my view. Who knows? I think they may sell off the parks. They may be forced to, because they have all these balls in the air, and it's all based on leveraging. So something like the parks, they're borrowing against it to expand the parks. They announced like a huge expansion of the park. Like, okay, they've taken a ride. It's an old dated ride. I forget what it's called. I want to say like the Gold Digger Express or whatever. And I wrote it. It's perfectly fine. But they're updating it, and they want to update it for, I forget the name. It was the Disney movie that took place in New Orleans, and it's the least popular Disney princess. The movie didn't do that great. I forgot what it's called. It's called like the Bayou Adventure or something. But it's a movie from like 25 years ago that didn't do so great. Now they're revamping the ride to update it, but they're updating it from a property that's from 25 years old. Unless they intend to reboot that movie, which they probably will. So, I don't know what they're doing in the parks other than running the whole thing into the ground. I mean, certainly the Star Wars hotel disaster didn't do them any favors. They lost money on that. But at least you could say, well, maybe that was a tax write-off. They make so much money already. But between that and losing money in the movies, something's got to break. At some point, somebody's just going to say, well, we can't loan you any money, or use your own money, or you're going to have to put up more collateral, or you're going to have to sell something off. So, I don't know. There's got to be an end to this. Indie Phantom. Tony, I instantly thought of Cage grabbing that bit of Georgia Peach. Yeah, I always think of that when I think of that movie, because it's such an outrageous scene. You're just like, whoa. Indie Phantom. Wasn't Sweet Baby Inc. on GTA? Maybe. I know one of them probably was. Carter Chain. I thought the ride was Princess Frog themed. I forget. I thought it was like the Western Gold Digger one, whatever that hell. hell that one was. Indy Phantom. Yeah, that ride was destroyed, and they tanked their most popular ride. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Meanwhile, Universal, I think, is going to be... I think they're going to be the new kings of amusement parks because they're building Harry Potter Land. And I think that's going to be effing huge. Now, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but I certainly think people who have read the books are just the perfect age to want to go to Harry Potter Land with their kids. Oh my God, yes. In a few years... And there's generations of that. There's like a long line of people who are going to be, oh yeah, we're going to Harry Potter Land, and they're redoing the movies again. So, yeah, I think Universal might just crush the parks at Disney to the point at which I don't know what they're going to do. I really think they may end up in a financial trouble that they're going to have to sell off parts of their company or I don't know, declare bankruptcy and redistribute something. I don't know, some legal. They won't like collapse, but they'll be forced to do some financial tinkering, let's say. And all because of what? What did they gain by doing all this stuff? Indy Phantom. Yeah, my cousin and her family went to Florida and they went to Universal and Disney. And not Disney. Oh, sorry. Again, that freaking icon's right on top of the word. Yeah, I would have rather go to Universal. Doesn't Universal still have the Simpsons too? And like Moe's Bar and the whole thing? Sounds way cooler. I mean, I've been to Disney already. It's okay. The thing I liked at Disney when I was a kid, we stayed at the Contemporary Hotel and they had the biggest arcade I ever saw. But arcades aren't a thing anymore. I mean, I assume they still have it because, I don't know, maybe they don't, but, you know, it's, what else do they got? Space Mountain? Space Mountain kind of sucks. I said it. It kind of sucks. You're on a roller coaster in the dark. You can't see anything. They might as well just put you in the coaster and then shoot you into the dark and then have two guys shake the damn coaster. I wouldn't know the difference. Indy Phantom. Disney will house vagrants and squatters. Cool novel idea. Now that would be funny. The Magic Kingdom smells like pee, Daddy. Don't look directly at them, honey. Let's just go to the Hall of Presidents. No one ever hangs out there. All right. Moving on to Hollywood Reporter. Suits Season 9 will head to Netflix next month. I do not care. I do not care one tiny whit about this show. I think this is the show that Meghan of Harry and Meghan fame was in. And then there's rumors about her. I don't know. She's trying to develop a show or trying to get back on the show or she's gonna try to run for president. It makes zero sense. I think that woman, I think any woman is an example of how power went to her head. It's Meghan of Harry and Meghan. I think she's sort of got the ultimate prize and it's driven her insane and it's not enough power. I think she's serious when she wants to run for president. I think she might, which will be freaking hilarious as nobody will ever vote for her. Indy Phantom. As a kid, I could stay in those epic arcades for hours until the quarters and the tokens ran out. Love the Tron games. I love the Tron game. The old school Tron game. Effing great. If I had to buy one arcade game for my house, Tron game would be on the top of the list. Right after Time Pilot, which was probably the favorite for me. I had a friend who had he had the arcade, you know, where you have like 50 games. You know, he had the stand-up right thing, you know, and you could pick a bunch of different games, and Time Pilot was in it. And for years, I would go to his Christmas party, and I almost every year ended up in that room for about for way too long. before somebody would go, hey, you know, man, you should come out to the party. All right, I'll finish this game. Because I love that game. Oh, man. I would love to buy that thing. Damn. I would get nothing done. What else? Indie Phantom, I can still hear the music for Tron. Bill Maher reacts to Donald Trump's guilty verdict for he's a jolly good felon. Okay. He's got TDS. He's got some good takes, man, but when it comes to Trump, it's always like it's almost like they told him behind the scenes, you could say anything you want, but don't say anything nice about Donald Trump. Other than that, you're fine. As long as you don't say anything, every time you mention Trump, you have to insult him. And he went, okay, you're still paying me millions of dollars, right? Yeah. Oh, all right, that's fair. That's what it sounds like to me. Oh, here we go. This movie. Now, we have to talk about this movie. Captain America Brave New World. So, this is Black Captain America. And I don't know what reshoot this is. I think they're on their fourth. I want to say they're on their fourth reshoot. Now, one of the reshoots is a total reshoot. Literally, this movie was finished with completely different villains. So, my understanding, it was Black Captain America and the Red Hulk, played by Harrison Ford in this movie. It was originally played by an actor who died. Not Bill Pullman, forget his name, who was Thunderbolt Ross. And so the villains in the earlier incarnation was going to be the Serpent Society, which I think there were about over half of a dozen characters that were in the movie, and they had already shot it. Like, it was done. Might even be edited, I'm not sure. They were kind of far along on it. And I guess it tested so badly, they tested 4 different versions of it. They just pulled the plug on the whole thing, and they decided to reshoot it all. So then, Arden is here. Hey, man, sorry I'm late. Had another sewer issue yesterday. Oh, no. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's awful. Indie Phantom, Captain America, stunning and brave. That should be the day. Carter Chain at Arden, no excuse. Oh, his whole house smells like poop. Give him a break. So then they completely reshoot this thing, but they don't have a script. So then they start shooting action scenes. And Anthony Mackie gets mad and is like, what are we shooting? I don't even know what to do. And they're shooting action scenes, and they're just saying, well, we don't have a script yet, but we got to start shooting. Like, how can you shoot a movie without a script at all? Like, I could understand if you got a partial script, but how can you just shoot scenes of fighting and say, well, we'll figure out what the fight is later? They don't even know who he's fighting. And I guess maybe they'll CGI it, but now they've added Giancarlo Esposito to the cast, but they haven't announced what villain he is. I can't even think of one at this point for Captain America, because the main villain to me for Captain America was always the Red Skull. It was always the Red Skull. And then there were a couple of like side characters that sometimes supported the Red Skull. There was the Serpent Society, I remember them. And there was like a few other just random villains with superpowers, but I don't remember a male character of any significance other than the Red Skull. I'm sure there's some, but I don't know who they're doing it. Indy, inside the booth, you're still on? I'm back. Hi. What are we talking about now? Captain America Brave New World. So they're supposedly on their like 4th reshoot, and now they're going to do another 22-day reshoot with Giancarlo Esposito. So obviously they've got some scenes they could probably use. So 22 days is not enough to shoot a whole movie? probably, that's about, see if it's 22 days. That's a month and 2 days, basically. Really should take probably closer to 3 months to shoot a movie. So somewhere between 2 and 3. So they've got at least, I'll say, if I had to spitball it, they've got about 50%, they think, of usable footage for this movie. So now they're going back. So, like, all the scenes of, like, probably, you know, the lead in from Winter Soldier and flashbacks to regular Captain America, Chris Evans, and then whatever the setup is for this movie, they're going to have to reshoot. But possibly the scenes with the Red Hulk becoming the Red Hulk. I mean, this movie's going to be a disaster. There's just no way this movie's even going to be mostly coherent, in my view. Indy Phantom. It sounds as whack as the delays on the Blade reboot. Yeah, but at least those, they haven't started. Like, as far as I know, they haven't wasted dime one on shooting a damn thing. They're just wasting money on screenwriters. Waste some money this way, by the way. It's just that Mashir Ali doesn't want to do any of the screenplays, and good on him. There's a guy who's reading. Holly M., the problem with Captain America reboot thing is I don't understand how he could be Captain America without Captain America's powers, or should I say his super soldier. Yeah, he doesn't have the super soldier serum. He just has the shield, and he's Falcon. This is what they tried to do in the comics. He should have the super soldier serum. Did he give it to him in the TV show? They don't care. All they care is, oh, we got a black guy now. And that's a shame, because the Falcon is black, and he's a perfectly fine character. They could have just made him Falcon. Why did they have to make him Captain America? I don't know. Holly M. Serum. Otherwise, it's just a guy in a spandex. Yeah. Ardent. And GTG again. Been a long couple of days. That's terrible. Yeah, it's been a long weekend for me. I didn't get a lot of sleep this weekend. So yeah, I think this is going to be a dumpster fire. I don't see how they can make it good. The character, even though I think Anthony Mack's a perfectly good actor, it's just, it should have stuck with Falcon. Like, if they had done a cool Falcon thing, maybe with Captain America in it, or being consulted, that could have been cool. Like, maybe he could have done, like, military missions as the Falcon. Would have been kind of cool. Made it a little more dark. But, like, even this costume looks too much. The redesign on the costume, I don't like. It's too busy. It's not streamlined. He's just not Captain America. It kind of reminds me of the costume from the guy who runs really fast on The Boys. Do you remember that guy? I forget what he's called. Because of the goggles. He should be Falcon. He should just be Falcon. That's a perfectly fine character. Can he support a movie? Probably not, but he probably could have supported the TV show. If they'd stuck with Falcon and Winter Soldier, or made Bucky Captain America. It makes more sense for Bucky to be Captain America. He at least has superpowers. He doesn't have the super soldier serum, though. If you're not going to do, like, a passing of the torch, then give him the super soldier serum. Come up with some storyline. Like, again, these guys just can't write, or they're not allowed to. Oh, Storbang's here. Didn't superhero fatigue already set in like 4 years ago? To some extent, yeah. I mean, after Endgame, everybody bailed. What a dumb move to call the movie Endgame. Oh, we'll call it Endgame. Are we going to have a sequel? Is that it? No. There'll be more. But we'll call it Endgame. Won't everybody think that's the end? Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think just because you call something the end of everything that people think it's the end. Yeah, but it's called Endgame. End is in the title. It'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. The DEI hire says it's perfect. All right, moving on to Bounding in the Comics. John Voight expresses support for Donald Trump following hush money trial verdict, labels judges as the corruption of this society's morals. Not really much of a comic book or movie headline, Bounding in the Comics, but okay. Inside the booth, yup, Endgame was the end for me, LOL. Yeah, was for me too, and turned out that's a perfectly good place to... You don't want to give the audience an excuse to leave. Hey everybody, feel like leaving? Oh, you know what? I've been here a long time. Yeah, I guess I'll be done. Oh, we didn't want you to leave. You said it was over. We said that, but we didn't mean it. We still got more. I think you're right. I'm tired. Netflix announces a live-action race-swapped adaptation of Japanese manga Kakiguru, Compulsive Gambler. I don't get that one at all. I mean, I don't know the property, but it's a Japanese cartoon. Shouldn't the characters be Japanese? I don't know. They're always drawing Americans. I mean, it's kind of already race swapped. And who wants this live action? Now they're just going to live action every anime they can get their hands on, I guess. Compulsive Gambler. It's weird. Valorant threatens hardware bans against players who engage in egregious trash talking. We won't miss you. Well, look, trash talking is a tradition in video games. However, there are people who take it too far. I think it would be perfectly fine to institute a system by which people could get banned temporarily. You know, some kind of system. Maybe it would be under certain conditions if, you know, you get a warning, and then if you keep up the behavior, they give you another warning. Like if you're harassing another player, they could push a button and say, I feel like I'm being harassed here or whatever. Or they could, I don't know, just mute the headset like I used to do. Like I used to get idiots and, you know, I used to play online. I used to play GTA online before it upgraded. That was GTA 4. Man, that was fun. And yeah, some guys wouldn't shut up, and I'd just turn them off. So I don't know why people don't do that. So why they have to even be involved, quite frankly. But I can understand some people take it way too far and just shout the N-word at the top of their lungs forever. So sure, I can understand kicking them out, or kicking them out for a month or whatever. This whole idea where you have a company threatening its customers, like, we won't miss you, bigots. No, that's too much. I'm sure you could find one extreme example, but they're relatively rare. Carter Chain, Riot Games is the worst about chat bans. This is not surprising. I wouldn't chat at all if I played in the modern arena. I would just turn it off and not chat. I mean, that's part of... Really, it's not fun for me to chat with you. I just want to blow up your guys. I might listen to you react when you go, oh man, you shot me. But that's about it. Hollywood celebrities, including Mark Hamill, John Leguizamo, and Stephen King, celebrate Donald Trump's hush money trial verdict. I read this the other day, so I won't read it again. So the celebrities are all happy now, all the Trump derangement syndrome. Here was some backhanded praise. X-Men 97 review. As good as it could be under the circumstances. I thought that was a very backhanded compliment. Like, it's good for, now. It's as good as it could be for under the circumstances. I mean, it just sounds like a terrible, terrible compliment. Carter Chain, even coded trash talk is banned in their games. You might as well not talk. Yeah. Yeah, that's my attitude. I don't want to be banned in the middle of a game. But, you know, people harass you in a game. They don't have to say a word to you. They can just keep shooting you. You know, somebody's really good at it, just hides in a corner and just keeps snipering you from some unknown spot you can't figure out. It's kind of annoying. Indie Phantom, Mark Hamill is still a celebrity. Oh, Mark Hamill is still a celebrity? Yeah. He was in The Machine. He was okay in that. But, yeah, he won't stop talking about Trump. Stephen King, though, he goes on. And John Leguizamo, I can kind of see why. He's still a little bit current, and I think he's trying to get work, and I think maybe he thinks this will get him work, but like Mark Hamill, I don't understand. He doesn't need to do it, and Stephen King definitely doesn't need to do it, but they love it. They love the virtue signal on Twitter, and then everybody yells at them. I just ignore them at this point. I used to follow them both, and now I won't follow them. Okay, so here's a 90s or 2000s cartoon you may have seen, millennials. It was called Recess. Any of you guys watch this? So this week, alleged pitch Bible for Disney's Reset reboot reveals proposed series would focus on girl boss daughter of Spinelli and Vince and have Gus come out as transgender. So I'll just wait for the stream to catch up to that. Inside the booth, same. So Recess, the reboot. I don't even remember this cartoon, but again, I would have been too old for it. So sounds like a stupid reboot if true. I'm not sure how far the stream is behind, but okay, I guess you guys never saw this cartoon? All right. I never heard of it until today. I don't know. Or the other day when I read the headline. So, should we move on to Star Wars? I guess we'll move on to Star Wars. So Star Wars is effed still. Now they're complaining about the Acolyte reception. So someone I want to inside the booth, never seen it, huh? Yeah, I guess nobody else saw this either. I don't know. They're gonna mess it up. Inside the booth or heard of it either. So getting into Star Wars. So this week the Acolyte dropped, I guess, and everybody, of course, is calling everybody who said something about it misogynist. You know, it's not fair to criticize the women because the fan base is so male dominated. I don't think the Star Wars fan base is going to be male dominated or dominant at all for very long. I think it's dying big time. And Acolyte, the Acolyte, I mean, that's going to put the nail in its coffin. But someone explained it like this. I want to say it was James Lindsay, but not sure it was him. But he was sort of using the same logic of what the Marxists do and the fourth wave feminists. So it goes something like this. There's Star Wars, right? And they have to get rid of Star Wars. So what do? Well, they make the sequels, The Last Jedi and everything, and they undermine everything. And then the next stage is they need to erase, they've destroyed all the previous characters, right? But now they need to erase the history of Star Wars. So they still have Daisy Ridley. But the problem is Daisy Ridley appeared with these other characters. So they need to get rid of Daisy Ridley's character. And so that is the transition we're going into now. Like, we're going into the final phase. And the final phase is they get rid of Daisy Ridley, and then, you know, they're going to use her in upcoming Star Wars project. But the idea will be to completely get rid of her and the last connection to George Lucas's Star Wars. So now the new Star Wars can emerge. And it's a very Marxist sort of technique. They're essentially erasing history of Star Wars by erasing its creator. The overall goal is to erase George Lucas's creations and replace it with a bunch of woke nonsense that nobody wants. It can't possibly work other than they'll do it and everybody will hate it and no one will watch it. I don't know what they're going to do with the properties or how they expect to sell them. The only place I could see them selling is, one of the things that happened in comic books I heard was, since everything went so woke, what they did was they started selling inside the booth. The OG Star Wars will never die. Disney is dead to me. So when the comic books all went so woke, and they're all losing money anyway, nobody really makes any money in comics anymore. What they did is they went to the American Library Association, which is literally run by Marxists, and they said, well, we're going to give you the wokest comics ever. Will you buy them for all the libraries in America and all the school libraries? And of course the ALA was like, oh yeah, sure. So they're pushing, I've heard, Marvel comics, the woke ones, behind the scenes, into all the school libraries. And my interpretation of that is, what it's going to do is, you know, when you're in school and you're forced to read stuff, generally you hate it, even if it's like halfway decent. Like 90% of the time, if you're forced to read something, you hate it because you're forced to do it. You haven't chosen to read it. You're forced to read it. Now, these middle-aged wine moms who are woke and stupid and Marxist assume that kids love comic books, which is a very bad assumption in this day and age. JC, it's going to make Marvel uncool. Damn it, you beat me to the punchline. Yes, that's the you beat me to the punchline, JC. Yes, it's going to make Marvel very uncool, because when you're forced to learn something in school, you hate it. And you'll associate that with Marvel Comics. So when they force a woke Spider-Man story on you, you don't like it. You go, oh, I got to read this. I got to write a report on it. It's stupid. And it will be stupid, because it won't be good Spider-Man. None of those kids will know what good Spider-Man is. And worse, it'll destroy the comics, because then they'll come out, like, let's say you got your, I don't know, your 12-year-old kid who was forced to read the indoctrinating pablum that the American Library Association foisted on his school, right? Now you take your kid out, and oh, there's a comic book convention. You walk in there, and oh, hey, kiddo, you want some Spider-Man comics? They got Spider-Man comics here. The kid's gonna be like, no way, I hate Spider-Man. And the adult's gonna be like, what do you mean you hate Spider-Man? I thought you loved comics. Oh no, I hate comics because they make us read them in school and they suck. Now, one of them, sometimes one of them might like, well, maybe, and they'll get a really old Spider-Man and they'll read it and they'll be amazed that it's not the same stuff that they read in school. And then hopefully the light will go on and they'll realize, oh my God, they ruined these comics. JEC, well, the comics will be lame. I got good comics out of the library when I was a kid, like Watchmen and Cerebus. Yeah. Well, hopefully, you know, they'll get word. The ironic thing about the ALA is they're kind of destroying libraries, and libraries really don't need anything else to help destroy them. Like, I really need libraries to stick around. I would love to see libraries like survive into the next era. I'm really worried they won't. And the Marxists are attacking libraries, and it really upsets me. So that's one thing. If I ever got the ear of Trump, and you know, after he fixed all the major things that are wrong or was in the process of fixing, I'd add to the pile and say, you know, Mr. President, we have a bunch of Marxists running the ALA, the American Library Association. I think that's very bad. Can we do something about that? I think we should do something about that and kick out all the Marxists, or somehow, you know, undo the American Library Association or something, or create an American Library Association or something. So that would be my contribution if I ever had his ear, but we shall see. And then at the very beginning of the week, I think this was, Richard Dreyfuss did this weird thing. So, old movie guys, they go to conventions, they go to talks, they get paid for this. Indie Phantom, yeah, I adore my library despite increasing propaganda. Well, I do talks at them all the time, and I'm happy to report that most libraries in South Jersey, as near as I can tell, are not arms of propaganda. There was only one or two that had a bunch of the stupid woke books in front. Oh, don't ban books. But even some of the ones I saw in South Jersey that bought into the ban, the list of banned books were actual books. It wasn't all the gay stuff they keep pushing on kids. So they're pretty good in South Jersey, but we're kind of based down here. Anyhow, so Richard Dreyfuss is doing one of his appearances. And again, this is what these guys do. They make money doing it. Like, this is what comic book guys do, and like movies guys do at comic book conventions sometimes, or horror cons or whatever. So he was invited to this theater to talk about Jaws and answer questions and tell stories and whatnot. And he started the show by coming out in a dress. And I'm not sure why. But he came out in a dress as a joke, and then some stagehands ran out and helped him get out of the dress, and he had clothes on underneath. And then he put on a suit jacket, and then he sat down. And then supposedly, as he was answering questions, somehow he got into some political stuff, and he got pretty based, I'll say, about transgender people in the LGBT community. Now, we don't have, as far as I know, a recording of what he said. It hasn't come out yet. It's just that beginning part with him in a dress. So I'm not sure how it happened, but it sounds like he went on an old man rant that was based, and now people are trying to smear him for it, I guess. But then the theater got upset because the theater's in Massachusetts. So you can imagine the politics of the theater owners, I'm guessing. And so they issued an apology. And then people apparently who went to the event, and he was supposed to talk about Jaws, by the way. And then the people who went to the event complained. And this was all covered in the newspaper, but they didn't interview Dreyfuss himself, I don't think. So, yeah, I feel like he's being smeared, but I can't definitively determine that. So, it'll be interesting if a video comes out of him. All right. Moving on to Deadline. Let's see if there's anything going on here. Gonna have to start to wrap up soon. Alex Ogle is here. Dreyfuss. Welcome, Alex. Dreyfuss. I always thought he was liberal and woke, but this makes me respect him. I've heard he's gotten more conservative in his older age. I don't know if he was ever liberal, but he's also apparently very much not, I don't know how to put this, like, he's kind of a curmudgeon. Apparently he got into a huge fight with Bill Murray on What About Bob, which is one of the funniest movies ever, which sort of makes sense because the character, he plays a character that gets driven crazy by Bill Murray's character. So it kind of makes sense that Dreyfuss would end up resenting him because actors really get into their roles sometimes. But apparently, like, they were at odds with each other, and he was really mad at Bill Murray. I don't know. I heard. But he did a movie a few years ago where he plays like a ex-mob guy who's in the witness protection program. It looked pretty cool, and he sounded kind of based in it. So I think he's kind of based, is my guess, but I haven't heard anything definitive. I think he's being a little cagey about that. Let's see. Not a lot going on. Oh, there's a lot of WNBA news this week. They're trying to make this a thing, the WNBA. Like, they're reporting on every aspect of it and fights and stuff. I can't tell if they're doing the fights on purpose to get some attention to the sport, but like I keep seeing headlines about it and people keep covering it like it's a thing. I mean, I don't care about the WNBA any more than I care about any sport, really, but I just find it suspicious. I mean, I guess Caitlin Clark is a star and is kind of cool, but I don't know. It feels like propaganda to me. I don't have any proof of that, but it feels that way. Over at Bleeding Fool, oh, here it is. Disney stock takes hit after activist investor Nelson Peltz sells his stakes. See, I thought this happened. Now, you're saying it happened in April. Yeah, the stock fell to as low as 80 per share. The decision followed his recent Oh no, this happened after his attempt to gain board seats. So there must have been one in April and now. Alex Ogle. They've been covering the WNBA up here in Canada. I think because Toronto has a new women's team. I watch it in the pub, but it's slow compared to the men's game. Alex Ogle, it's like watching women's lumberjacking. There's just no energy. Yeah, I can see that. I saw a few clips, and I just thought, okay, they're playing basketball poorly. They seem to be too small, like unlike the male players who are gigantic and they're just flying through the air and dunking and doing crazy stuff. It seems like, yeah, the women are just kind of like fundamentals. Let's see. Batman Ninja getting a sequel from Warner Brothers Japan. I didn't know the first one happened, but okay. J. Michael Straczynski is coming back to Spider-Man, if anybody cares. I think it's too little too late, but it might help the sales a little if they stick with it. But I don't get any sense Marvel's really turned a corner here. Maybe corporate has laid down the law. You guys gotta stop doing all your super woke stuff, but I kind of doubt it. I think they're still cranking out pretty poorly made comics, so I don't know. As long as they're doing DEI hires, I don't think I have a shot in hell of getting hired there now. Holly M. Okay, peeps. Tony, have a good night. Good night, Holly. Alex Ogle. Peltz selling his stock is being held up as an attack on Disney competence, but surely he had a large number of shares, so a massive sell would just hit prices purely by flooding the market? Possibly. Alex Ogle says good night to Holly. JEC. Didn't people hate JMS last Spider-Man run? I don't know, but he's got a name. I thought he was good at it. But maybe I'm thinking of the first time he was on the run. The Wrap. Skydance offers Paramount shareholders $15 per share cash out option as deal nears. Okay. That's pretty good if you bought in at a lower price than 15. This isn't financial advice. I wish I had some now. I bought Lionsgate. That stock is JC. The JMS had the Green Goblin grope Gwen Stacy? Did the JMS have the green? I don't know. Was that a thing? He groped Gwen Stacy? I don't know. Marvel's a lost cause, I think, until they fire all the woke guys all the woke women. Until they fire all the woke women and start over and make a real publishing arm. It's just gonna be, I don't know, Band-Aids on a gaping wound. Graped? James had the Green Goblin graped. Oh my God, he did that? That sounds awful. Why would they put that in a comic book? Oh my God, that's terrible. JC, it sounds like grape. Yeah, now I get it. Sorry. I'm a little thick. I haven't had a lot of sleep. Indie Phantom didn't grope the dead. Don't grope the dead. That's just awful. That's just awful to put that in a comic. It's just too much. For Spider-Man? Alex Ogle, pitch, Women's NBA, the movie. Sydney Sweeney to star. Note to cameraman, lots of close-ups as she shoots for the hoop. I like it. Let me see a draft by Tuesday. I'm pretty sure you could deliver a draft in about 3 hours. She shoots. She scores. But we can't see it because we're still looking at her. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse writer, producer Chris Miller shuts down rumors of generative AI use. Yeah, this is going to be a thing. Spider-Man the Spider-Verse, you put those movies in the AI, you can make any movie you want with Spider-Man. Let's see. All right, going to Cosmic Book News. Carter Chain at Alex Ogle. No need for a draft. I'm sold. Oh, we already got an investor. Fantastic. Let's greenlight this thing, Alex. Here's the article on Mashishira Ali. The entire project, he may have walked away from it. So there's rumors of an Jurassic World reboot. I think that's a dumb move, but probably better than Blade. I think they should bring back Wesley Snipes. I think it would be huge, but I think he could do it. I think you could put him in enough makeup. He could get in shape enough. He wouldn't look like Blade. He wouldn't look great, but he would look good enough because you could put him in like an outfit, because Blade always had like that outfit. You could thicken it up and make him look more muscly than he is. I think you can make it work. And I think the makeup would cover the rest. And as long as he got into decent shape. And I think he's in decent shape, decent enough shape. I know he's old, but I think it would work. But they're not going to do that. Gal Gadot unfollows James Gunn. New DCU Wonder Woman incoming, according to this article. Alex Ogle. Anya Taylor-Joy's face is an inverted triangle. Yeah, kinda. I think she should play an alien a sexy alien in a movie. I think she'd look good for that, because she's a little odd looking to me. She's hot, but her face is kind of odd. And I think if you put her in some alien makeup and then put her in hot outfits, I think that's a movie. I think that's practically a movie. I'll come up with the plot later, but maybe she comes to Earth and seduces dudes and then falls in love. I think you got a movie. All right, let's end on a high note. Godzilla -1, now available on Netflix. and I'm very psyched for this movie. I wanted to see it in theaters, and I didn't get out to see it. Now it's on Netflix, and I can see it for nothing. I hear nothing but great things about this, so I'm very psyched to see it. I may, in fact, watch it tonight, although it's getting a little late, because I am falling asleep, and I want to be awake for this, so I may save it for tomorrow. But I am definitely going to watch Godzilla Minus One and review it. I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. So if you've got Netflix, and a lot of you do, I got it for nothing for some reason. Bleach Demon. But Netflix, I know. I tried to get it disconnected during the Cuties thing, and it turned out I wasn't paying for it. And they said, we can't disconnect you. You're not paying for it. You can just not watch it, sir. And I was just like, oh, okay, I guess. I just won't watch Cuties then. And so I didn't. But, yeah, I know. But they do get good foreign movies. And this is a good foreign movie. And I definitely want to see it. So, I don't know how they're making money off me, though. I'm seeing everything for free. I guess the hits? Advertising? I mean, but there's no advertising on Netflix. When you're a subscriber, maybe they'll downgrade me and I'll be forced to watch commercials, and then they're kind of making money? I guess. Should have done that a long time ago. Well, Bleach Demon, thanks for coming in. I'm just about to wrap up the stream, though. It's 10 o'clock. I've been on for 3 hours. And I really got to go to the bathroom. So let's wrap up here. What did we learn today? Well, the box office is in the absolute toilet this week. I mean, it's in the toilet. 62 million. That's toilet level box office. Indie Phantom, okay, take care all. I might watch Godzilla someday, but looked boring to me. Well, I hear this one is like spectacular because it actually takes place right after World War II, and it's supposed to be amazing. So it's like a period piece, and it's, I don't know, I heard nothing but good things, so I'm really psyched for it. We also learned Furiosa is a disaster and continues to go downhill. Indie Phantom, we learned DEI. Yes, DEI is bad, and ESG is driving it, I believe. Alex Ogle, Pitch, Invaders from Another World, shot in the 1950s style. Anya Taylor, Joy, in a bikini, lands on Earth to secure the future of her people. Sydney Sweeney, in a bikini, heads up the counter operation. Sold. You had me at bikinis. Yes. What could we call it? Sexy Invasion from the Stars. Yes. Oh, the movie poster will even sell. Oh, yeah, we'll get that movie poster right out there. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if I did that? If I could somehow make that movie tomorrow and just release it? Can you imagine people would lose their damn minds? It would be a $1 billion hit. It'd be $1 billion hit. That's the other thing about the Mad Max fiasco that pisses me off. If they put Mel Gibson in a Mad Max, if they had put Mel Gibson in a Mad Max like final movie, it would have made $1 billion easily $1 billion. The last Mad Max movie would have been huge. Indie Phantom, Earth Girls Are Easy Too. I remember that movie. Gina Davis when she was still looking pretty good. Yep, Earth Girls Are Easy. And Jeff Goldblum, I think, is in it, right? Isn't he one of the aliens? I forget the other guys. Maybe Damon Wayans is in it? Alex Ogle. Yes, at Indie Phantom. Indie Phantom, Earth Guys Are Sleazy. Alex Ogle, Leather Goddess from Phobos. Conversion of an old video game. Maybe. Indie Inside the Booth would love to have Mel in the Mad Max movie. Oh yeah, everybody would. Instantly $1 billion. JC, Jim Carrey. Oh, Jim Carrey was in that movie. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, because he could do an alien. All right, let's go to the IMDb. Before I go. There it is. Earth Girls Are Easy. 1998 that was? Yeah, that was a while ago. Okay, so... yeah, Jim Carrey and Jeff Goldblum. Okay, so Gina Davis is the main character. Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and Damon Wayans. Yeah. Julie Brown was in it. Julie Brown. Who's she? I know that name. Michael McKean was in it. Charles Rocket was in it. Larry Linville was in it. Oh, I love Larry Linville. I miss him. Larry Linville, one of the greatest foils in TV history. His Frank Burns was unbelievable. Unbelievably funny. Frank Burns eats worms. And, man, he was good in that show. So good. Yeah. It's a terrible movie, by the way. Earth Girls Are Easy is a terrible, terrible movie. But, you know, compared to movies they make now, it's probably kind of watchable. But I remember seeing it and going, oh, this is awful. This movie sucks. Yeah, there's a still from it. There's Jim Carrey. There's Julie Brown, who wrote the movie. Good for you. I'm trying to think, was that before Jim Carrey became famous, or I guess that's when he was still on In Living Color. All right, so I got to wrap this up because I really got to go now. Little Joan, I'm sorry she wasn't in the stream more. Uh-oh, where did she go? Oh, she's over there in her more luxurious bed. So thanks for everybody for tuning in. Next week, oh goodness, I've got so many shows next week. It's crazy. You'll have to go to my link. That's how many shows I have. I can't even list them all. But next week I will be doing a show on Sunday in Tom's River. So I think I'll be back in time to do the live stream on time. I might have to push it back an hour, but we'll see. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you in the next one. Oh, Alex Ogle. I'm not happy with the box office is down, but was entirely predictable and predicted. It's such a shame when something has to fail before it can be saved or replaced. Yeah, there's just no choice anymore. We're at the point where Hollywood is just, and they're so damn stubborn. That's the worst part about this. We're you know, inside the booth, have a good night. They're so stubborn about the changes. It's any big organization takes forever to turn the ship. And you know, in the old days, somebody would come out with a hot movie, and then all the other studios would go, "Oh my God, we're going in the wrong direction. Those guys are making $1 million. Let's do what they're doing." And they would have pulled out of this dive by now, but I think it's being distorted by the ESG. But hopefully, finally, we're at the point where we can kick these ESG, DEI people to the curb and finally have some good movies again. Later, peeps, says Indie Phantom. Later. All right, I got to end it here. Good night, everybody. Alex Ogle, great stream, Tony. Good night. And to Little Joan. Oh, that's nice. Joan, you were mentioned. Good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow.